Good morning, everybody. Happy Easter. Happy Easter Sunday to all the amazing people that are here on this Easter day. Despite it being a holiday, kind of insane to see a lot of people here today. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. What's up, guys? Oh, let's move some stuff over here. Bro, you traded zoo. A zoo? No, I traded kazoo. Oh. Yeah, Starbucks is not closed. If Starbucks isn't closed, we all gotta be here, right? Cheers to everybody. So, what a beautiful week it has been, guys. Hello, and happy Easter to everybody today. So, that hoodie is banging. Thank you. I ordered a few more for myself. Okay, let's see what we got here. So, no time to waste. Let's get rid of that on the screen. Absolutely no time to waste. Quite a few things to go over today. A few things to break down for sure. As I kind of wrote it out today, we have some data collection, some market breakdowns, and of course, some psychology. So I'm not going to waste anyone's time. We're going to jump right into kind of everything and start breaking down a few things and show you guys a few data collection side things. Before we do that, I want to welcome everybody. Anybody that's brand new, congratulations on finding your way to this team, and congratulations on being here. You are setting yourself up for some of the best months of hopefully your trading career and what you're actually going to learn, which is huge. And hopefully you set this is the start of something that you want to be part of permanently. So welcome, of course, welcome. If you are new, right after this webinar, make sure you check out the hashtag welcome, have a read through this and assign the indicator to be set onto your chart. But other than that, there's nothing too crazy. So, as a lot of you know, just last week, I'm gonna scroll down to within the course content in the hashtag the process and resources. If we scroll down here and click on it, you will know that there's a new file available here. This has been a compilation put together of some of the best stuff that we've seen in terms of data collection, stuck into one beautiful document made particularly by Dan, a prominent member of our team here, who has put out some amazing stuff for the team, who has personally done some amazing shit himself, who has offered tons of unbelievable value and is still working on some other very cool stuff. And me and him are working on some other behind the scenes things. So we'll you guys will hear more about that later. Dan's awesome. But yes, he's doing very well for himself, and that is a beautiful thing to see. So the beginning of this, let me turn off annotations. Okay, so now you have the availability of this beautiful, beautiful document. If you open it up, of course, you're brought to this page right here. Now, I'm not going to read through it myself because I already know how most of things work. Now watch me screw something up, but I already know how most things work. But you guys, when you open it, should have a quick read of it just to understand what's going on, how does stuff look, what issues might there be that you can now fix. And past that, all you want to do is go to File, make a copy, and you want to make yourself your personal copy, maybe 2024, whatever you want it to be. Effects, personal, I don't like capitals, personal data collection, starting whatever, 330, 329, 320, whatever the date is, if you want to specify a date. So once you've made a copy, you of course now have a very, very powerful data collection sheet at your fingertips, and you have it forever. It'll be stored for you forever, and you can go ahead and edit it, which is an amazing thing because you don't have to pay for a single dime to have it, which means that you can consistently add to it, and even better, you can add personal things that you deem important, which is huge. A lot of data and stuff out there forces you to be specified within one little area. Here at MentorFX, you are not specified to one thing. You can build a plan for yourself. You can hone your own edge, and you can make that edge better. It's a very powerful thing to be able to use. And as a lot of you know, data collection is the forefront of profitable trading. There's not a single person in the world that is profitable that hasn't gone through exactly this step in their process at some point. Now, the earlier you start, the better. The earlier you start, the much better you're going to do for yourself. That's always going to be the case. I wouldn't take information from anywhere else regarding what to do to improve your trading, to improve your psychology, to improve blah, 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 if you haven't, at the minimum, done a very, very deep dive on something like this. You need a data collection sheet. You need to start processing and seeing data, whether you're brand new or have been in this market for a while. The more you do this, data sheet wise, the more profitable and consistent you will become, guaranteed, regardless of how much information you have to start with. Now, of course, the information that you then take on, this would be like following the course here, going through the videos here, going through the context building, etc., is going to dramatically change the level at which an edge can be created, right? Like I said a few weeks ago, or last week, when I was first trading, I had started with very basic support resistance, if a lot of you remember. Similarly, I conducted the proper data testing. And guess what? I had an edge. It didn't make me a lot of money, but I made around 1 RR, 2 RR a month with basic support resistance and some formula for trend, or at least some formula for the fact that the market's moving in a certain direction. Over time, I built this into a much better understanding of when I was going to enter, whatever it might be, right? And now all of a sudden, I increased my edge, but again, it was only done because I had data collection at the forefront. Then over time, as a lot of you know, we've come to what you see now, where I'm trading with a few tools. I'm trading with models. I'm trading with the direction of price. I'm trading with it through multiple time frames. I'm trading with the MAs, and I'm entering through buy stops. And now all of a sudden, again, I still have an edge. The edge is even more pronounced, is even heavier in regards to anything I've ever had before. And again, it was all done through one process, and that was data collection. So if you're not data collecting in some way or in some shape or form, or you don't believe in it for some reason, you are killing yourself for no reason. There have been countless times, guys, countless, that I've taken one-on-ones with people or I've spoken with people, and no matter how long they've been in it, one of the biggest deciding factors of how well they were doing, or if they were close to getting funded, or if they even got funded in before, or if they got a payout, the one determining factor had always been, was there some form of data collection? And the person without a single trade collected was the person that was also very stuck. Everything was ambiguous. Everything was super random. It was very hard to decide on anything. And the person with 50 trades was someone that had a lot of things worked out and just needed to, refine and get a little bit better. The person with 500 trades, they didn't even need me. They were funded. They just wanted to talk or go over some like psychological things, which is great. The person that had even more, so look to your Dans of the world, your King Nasties, your Averys, almost anybody that you see right here in the funded members, especially recently as they got funded. Those are the people that basically followed a simple formula for data collection and got to where a lot of you, even if you're brand new, want to get to. This all happens through a process. You cannot forego or skip the process. You cannot shortcut it. But the second you start, you become unstoppable in this thing. Because again, there's not a single person that is doing this at a level that you could be doing it at. And as long as you allow yourself to do it, you're going to surpass everyone. So you then go ahead and you open this guy up. Now you have it. It's available to you. You can name it as you see fit. And again, you have an area here for the trading plan. So feel free to fill this out as you need, whatever it might be, fill it out as you need to with the rules that you have in your system. Partial calculator, this is just for calculating partials in case you're uncertain about how partials work. So all you have to do is fill in these guys here. So for instance, I'm in this gold trade right now, as a lot of you might know. And a lot of you actually traded gold all week long. So, from the start of the week, which was around here, around the start of the week, which was right here, a lot of you know that I've been bullish on gold. I've remained bullish. I've been watching for bullishness. I've shared this. I've spoken to you guys about it last week. And a lot of you caught things on gold all the way up this week. This has been a phenomenal move. Absolutely beautiful. And there were countless moments to get involved. Of course, countless. In many time frames and everything. But this is a trade that I'm personally in right now. So let's say I want to record this trade, because again, the purpose of me showing you this is to record data. Now, first of all, I'm going to delete all this, because again, this is not my data. I don't really care about it. But a lot of you should, of course, you can even study like the data here just to see what it all looks like and how to fill it out. So that's why it's still here. But For me personally, I don't need it, so I'm gonna delete it. The symbol is gold, okay? So that's the first one I'm doing. I can call it XAUUSD or just gold, it doesn't really matter. And the date that it was traded was on the 28th of March, 2024. So I can take a photo of this and just click on copy link. So this is how you do it up here. You click on the camera, copy link, the 28th of March. So 28th of March, you just enter it like that. You can see it populates it very nicely, okay? Then you can go ahead and put in your screenshot. So for me personally, it's the entry one that I care about right here. So that's the one I'm gonna record, and you can see it's now recorded here. Very simple, and now I can access this at any point I want, okay? So that's the 5 minute, for instance, and then I can of course go through the other timeframes like the validation and the context time frame. We'll do that in a second. And the time that this was taken. So for time personally, I don't really need the time element, you know, because I don't care about time too much, but a lot of you might actually need it because you need to figure out how time works for you. So again, all my trades are almost always gonna be from around 5 a.m. New York time, sometimes earlier if I'm pulling an all-nighter or I'm staying up for whatever reason, because my schedule is always screwed up, but it's almost always from 5 a.m. New York time up until around 3 p.m. That's usually where all my trades will be. So I don't really have to record it, but for the purpose of today, I will. So I don't know how the time element works here for Dan. I don't know how I have to put it in, but okay, so I wrote 6 a.m. and it looks like it did it right. Stop loss, so again, I look at this about 2.2, 22 pips. So again, I'm just gonna record this as 22 pips for myself personally. So just make sure you're very standard with the way that you record the stops if you ever record another gold trade. So if you do another gold trade in the future, make sure you're using that number is basically what it comes down to. You don't have to complicate the way like the stops work. You don't have to think in specifically pips or ticks or anything like that. Just use a common denominator that makes sense in regards to the analysis page. So here, personally, you know, I'm gonna fuck around with this, but 0.5% for me, about, I enter on a 5 minute usually. So the reason we're filling this out is because this will gauge how long your trade durations are, right? So for me personally, for each, you know, this is about 22 pips for me. So I would say for each 2 pips, if I was using like a 2 pip, like if this was a even smaller, like this small, right? How much would I pay in commissions? Probably a lot. I probably would even stick to 0 for myself here personally for everything, just because I can go ahead and take that into account myself. Or if you want, you can add a value. But the value in here, if you don't know what to do, you should just leave it as is. I would probably say that for every like 0.5 pips or points, or like every 1 pip or point, I would say probably 0.1, 0.2 is fine for me. So this is just up to you how you wanna gauge the commissions and whatnot. I would go ahead and like figure out what kind of markets are you trading? What does the average commission look like? So if on average you're trading a gold trade that looks like this with 22, and every time that you take one with 22 or 2.2, it turns out that your commission and payment for a trade is around, I don't know. So if you want to risk, let's say 2K on this trade, but then instead you lose 2,400. Okay, so 2.4K you lose instead. So 2,400 you lose, right? Then you can work out the math in regards to what that value is. I forgot exactly how to do it, but this is where your normal math comes in handy, of course. You know, I don't know. My brain always functions weird, but if 2,000 is 1 RR, okay, then 2,400 is whatever RR. So that puts us at what? 2,000 over 1 equals 2,400. Okay, so we just divide by 2K. Okay, so that it was actually very easy math, but 2,400 over 2,000, right? So about 1.2. So every loss is not 1, but it's 1.2, which means that for every 22 points, you're actually paying 0.2 RR in commissions. That's all that does, okay? That's all that means. Because instead of taking a 2K loss, which is 1 RR, you're taking a 1.2 RR loss, which is a 0.2 difference. So that's how you would calculate the amount to record for the RR loss per given amount. So if I was taking that, you know, for every 22 pips or points, I'm losing about 0.2 RR is the way I would think about it, right? So that's a number that I can use here if I really want. 22 pips or points, yeah. Great. So there we go, about 0.2 RR. Cool, I'll just leave it like that. I don't really care. And then of course you have a break-even threshold. You guys can just leave this. This is just what is considered to be a break-even. If you gain 0.3 RR on a trade, I consider that break-even. If I gain negative 0.3 RR, I consider that a break-even. And over time, because of the way that wins and losses work, it'll still maximize itself to around break-even. So I would just leave this one alone. And then this is depending on you for the prop firms you're working with. So if you're with Men Funding, 6%, right? Max loss. If you're a personal account, you can do 100%. This is up to you how you want to do that, right? And then, of course, you can now record your proper data because now you have everything basically that's important. And again, now if I want to fill in the RR secured on this gold trade, I shouldn't do it yet because, again, it's not completed. This trade, this gold trade that I have right here that I'm going to go over today is still running. So this trade can still make me a fuck ton more money. But at the moment, right, I took one partial around here when price broke down. So around these points here when price broke through these lows, and I secured about 2.7 RR, you can see here. So that was my first partial, and then the rest I have right now at this low just because of this insane move, which I hope at the open will keep going, and then I can maybe take a partial around here. So that one you can see. Now imagine I didn't record this. So very quickly, my first partial was around 5.6, so I can write that in. I took 50% off at 5.6, okay? And then I'm taking off 100%. The rest I will close here at 9.64. So 100% at 9.64. And very simply, you can all see how easily it gives me the number that I would now record in my data, 7.62. Actually, while we're looking at this, so Dan, while we're looking at this, quick idea, I would put this number into maybe its own little box so people can copy paste it right into the data if they're recording it like that, right? Instead of having to like, you know what I mean? Like put it in like right below so you can take the number like this and copy paste it into the data. But nonetheless, 7.62, given that my trade right now loses, so if it comes and loses right now, oh no, a loss. The gain overall in this trade will be 7.62 RR. So also, as I show this, I hope a lot of you are seeing as well why losing, quote unquote losing, is a phenomenal thing in your trading, right? When I take losses, they're either -1s or break evens, right? Which means that all they're doing is they're paving the way for more money made in the long run, or when I lose, because this is still a loss. Does everyone understand why when price comes down and hits a stop, it's still considered a loss? Does everyone understand how that, you can play this psychological game with yourself, but does everyone understand why when I'm in a trade and it comes down and takes me out, that's still a loss? I'm losing the trade in regards to keep continuing to make money, but I'm gaining 7.6 or 7.2 RR on the fact that it's coming back down. And I only stand to gain more if it goes higher and then loses later. So that's also a really nice way for you guys to like interpret losses or interpret trading, where every trade you're taking is just a question of how long until the loss happens. Sometimes the loss will be instant and it will be at the level of a -1. And sometimes the loss will take a few days or a few weeks or a few months, and the loss might be a +10 RR. The beautiful thing about trading is that the losses pave the way for your entire equity curve to exist. The only way you get there is through those beautiful losses, right? So there we go. Chris says, do you matter the difference between trading view analysis and real broker execution? It's almost always the same. And if it's any different, like I will record it, but it's like almost always the same. Like if I end up getting an entry and it enters here, okay, then I'll just record it, a little bit differently. And I'll just use this to analyze how much it actually is. But my entries are almost always like exact. So yeah. But you can do that. But nonetheless, it's a very powerful tool. And if you haven't yet, this is again your reminder, especially if you're new. This is like your reminder. This is your light, your holy grail telling you start to use your data collections, because it's the only way that you pave the way towards success. Where do you trade futures on? So I use Thinkorswim, TD Ameritrade, but you can trade them anywhere that there's a broker for, or firm or whatever it might be. You can do your own research on where to trade any given pair. But there's tons of places to trade any assets in the world, right? And the point of everything we do here is to teach you and remind you that you're not here to trade one asset. You're here just to trade a context, and you learn to spot and trade the best context you possibly can, right? I've had about 1,000 ICI setups documented, but only about 200 contexts. Do I need more data for context if I still find it a bit confusing? Again, the answer is always, if you find something confusing for yourself, the answer is always going to be yes, of course, right? But then similarly, to second your point, let's say you have 100 trades, which is what you're saying you have. Okay, great. If you know the contexts that have shown you profitability, then what you should be doing is trading those contexts. If you show up and there's an ICI within something that you haven't noticed before, you should not be touching it. It would not make any sense for you to do so, which actually corresponds to one more thing I want to talk about today, this was something funny that I read that I think that, you know, a lot of you just need to figure out and understand for yourself. The answer is very clear, but maybe it wasn't for some people, so I'm going to try and reiterate it here. Our good man Grass Jan here asks, I have a question to the profitable traders. Do you guys only trade in clear context like this? Or do you trade in uglier context? I'm asking because I realize I'm profitable when the daily context is clean. But when I backtest and it's not clean, I'm always in drawdown. Right? I feel like this question answers itself as he types it, right? So, of course, you are here to trade the best and most profitable context, right? It doesn't make sense for you to undermine your own system. What is the purpose of trading a system that's worse, especially when your system itself is telling you it's sideways or in drawdown in a bad market, right? So this always comes back to the exact same point that we make time and time again, which is like, if the market's not in a context that you're used to, or if the market's not moving in a way that you're used to, why are you even trading it, right? So the way I want you to think about it is like, this trade right here is one that's, in my book, a perfect context. So I take the long, and beautiful, we have delivery, okay? Now, similarly, if I try to replicate that in a time when we had bad context, well, the answer is that it's never, ever going to actually perform. So let me go back to where there was bad context. This is when I started watching it. This was all pretty good context, to be honest. So this is the problem. Like, if you start trading poor contexts and you're trading a back and forth market consistently, well then, no matter what trades you take and no matter how well you manage them, you'll be taking losses. Okay, I can't find it right now. But the point is, it doesn't make sense for you not to trade a good context, because a good context inherently means that you're in a market condition that's likely going to do something like this, right? Which means that when you get involved, you have the likelihood of what? Good money made and clear delivery, okay? But if you're trading a context that is likely bad, which means that it's gonna do something like this, right? Even if it makes a good move and you enter, I don't know, here, or here, or here, or here, none of the moves are going to result in what? A larger profitable trade. So it makes absolutely no sense for you to come to me and say, listen, Anton, I understand that in good context I can make money, but can I also trade in uglier context? It's like, what the fuck is the point, right? What is the ultimate goal of you trading in a terrible or a worser context? Is it because you want to get trades? Is it because you think that, you know, it might make a run? Right? Why are you limiting yourself to a system like this when you could be guaranteeing yourself and limiting yourself to a system like this? This is the beauty of trading, and understanding that trading is not about taking trades. Trading is about sitting on the sidelines until a market's clear. The truth about the last 2 weeks of my trading, 3 weeks of my trading, is that I barely traded. Barely. The most trading I've done in the last like 3-4 weeks has been this last week only. This last week that we traded was the most I traded in the last like month or two. This is everything I traded this month. This week. This last week. A lot of trades. And prior to that, I did almost nothing. I traded one trade, I think, in the week before this one. And I'm still managing on GBTC, if you guys remember this. All I'm doing is managing this trade now. This is the only trade I took. Oh, this was actually this week, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. Okay. But before this is like the only trade I had. And since then, I've still been managing this at my stop being here, and that's it. Oh, I can move my stop up now, actually. So we'll move that up for the upcoming week. Yeah, so that low is where it's going to be now. And honestly, taking a look, yeah, this is, yeah. So it's fine the way it is right now. I might even get another trade on this. And we'll talk about markets to watch in a second. But it makes absolutely zero sense for you to trade at a worser context if you're aware that it's a worser context. If you know this is a specific market, this context right here is one that you make money in, right? If you know you make money in this, and then price is doing not this, should you be trading it? This should be as clear as day. As clear as fucking day to you that the answer is no. It doesn't make sense to. I don't care that you see a good ICI. Oh God. Fuck, inside of the terrible context. It doesn't matter. It means nothing. The reality is you know where you make money. So trade that moment unless you've done the testing to prove that you can make money elsewhere. So John, to kind of come off your question, if you have, let's say you said 200 contexts that you can make money in, that you are aware that you can make money in over time, why is there even a question of like, oh, but this is a new context? should I trade it? You know, should I just enter it and call it a day and see where it leads? No, because you know where you make money. There's zero reason that you shouldn't be looking for the moments that have proven to make you money, right? Think about it this way. It's like if you've grown up painting your entire life, okay? And all you've used in your entire life of painting is watercolors, right? So like the water paint. And you're like, you make amazing things. And then one day you enter the art competition, okay? And they come out and they say, well, guys, we need your best work. You have the choice of watercolor, of chalk, and of paint. And you go, you know what? I know I'm one of the best. I know that I could win this thing, but I think chalk. I think chalk is what I'm going with today. I would look at you as your art mentor and go, what the fuck are you doing? Right? You've painted your entire life with watercolor. You've proven to yourself that you can do this at a level higher than anyone. You know what you can make with this, and you're choosing chalk? Right? So that's kind of what's going on with a lot of people in trading. Well, they'll learn something. They'll understand that it works. And then one day they'll show up to a market, any market, and they'll go, this context isn't that clean, but I kind of see an entry. I'm taking the entry. Mr. Ment, what is wrong with my trade? I took the trade based on the rules. Well, the context wasn't so clear, but what happened? Are you kidding me? Right? You just answered again your own question. Why are you trading something that you know is not part of the system that you've proven to yourself? Right? So I just want you to recognize as we go into the upcoming weeks or whatever it might be, that you are the sole creator of the edge in front of you. There are people that are going to be trading things all day, every day, because each edge is unique. That is why in our Discord, you're going to see consistently people taking multiple trades, many trades. Some are going to line up with some that you take, but there's nothing going to be that's you're in this all the time. Just so you guys know, for every one trade I take, one trade that I, MentFX, take, I see over 900 different positions that are taken by other people that sometimes line up with mine and sometimes don't on different markets. And then for every trade I take, if we don't even look at people in the mentorship, there are over, I guarantee you, at least 50,000 other opportunities in that moment on other pairs, assets, timeframes, etc. So you need to realize that, one, you should never FOMO for any reason, ever. There should never be a psychological issue associated with that because, again, you are only one of billions of opportunities available. Billions, okay? And they're always going to be available. So remember that. Caleb says, it's so relieving to hear you haven't been trading. I rejoined Bitcoin. I rejoined because I took a 10K challenge recently and have been sidelines too until the end of this week. So I thought I was scared because I was live or something, but now I know that I'm doing the right thing. You are. It's, you know, if there's an actual fear with getting involved, that's a problem that can be dealt with that we need to deal with, right? But a lot of you need to remember that most markets are not in the move or in the mood for a setup. Remember, guys, I've barely traded until this week. And this week, even then, right? Even then, this week I took 2 trades. One was a break even. I took 2 trades here. Both were a loss or break even. I took a few trades on this. One was a loss, one was a break even, one was a win. I took 2 trades on gold. One was a win, one's a break even. I took 1 trade on UJ, which was a loss. I took 1 trade on Bitcoin, which was a break even, and that's it. That was my entire week in review. And prior to this week, I took nothing. I was ready to be sidelines for a month if I needed to be, based on the markets I'm watching. Now, that's not always the case based on how many things you look at, but you need to be aware of the fact that there's not going to always be a move, nor is there going to be a move on the things that you're watching. A lot of the time spent in these markets is going to be on the sidelines. And until you make that realization, until you start collecting the data to see that and make that realization, the longer you're going to stay stuck. Because, like I love to say, trading is not taking trades, guys. It never has been. Trading is simply sitting out and following rules when it's time to follow them. Most people are always going to stay stuck in the I must trade or trading is taking trades mentality. Trading is not taking trades. That's only a small portion of it, which is why when you see like a lot of the Instagrams of the world, the YouTubes, all this stuff where someone's trading every single day, getting moves, how to make 500 bucks a day on average, just trading. It's like, that's not how trading works. And the more you believe in that, the less you do well for yourself. The more you set a goal, the less you do well for yourself, because all those things consistently go into the realm of what you shouldn't do as a trader. You need to learn to sit on the sidelines. So yeah. Yeah, I will break down gold today as well. I'll break it down actually very, very soon. I'm going to try and do it earlier today for everybody than the way we usually do, which is later. So yeah, first things first is you have the access to this. Go ahead and fill it out. Go ahead and start using it. It's very, very powerful and very good. And fill out all the trades. I'm going to personally go back and fill out all my personal trades after this webinar or tomorrow, because today is Easter. So I might end up doing something with the family. But this is what you want to do, and you want to fill it out. And again, like, once this Bitcoin trade completes as well, it's going to be absolutely insane, because this thing has gone and gone and gone nonstop. And I think it's going to keep going. I'm going to try and enter this again tomorrow, so you guys can look at this right here. It is setting up beautifully. Let me lock this so it's not in the way. You can take a look at this. Even though it says distribution, for me, it's an accumulation, reaccumulation, and now I want to get in on this. Like, if I can get in on this tomorrow, I will. I will try to get a trade on this thing, like maybe here. I'll probably enter it, because this is moving absolutely perfectly, right? So if I can get in again, that'll be amazing. But right now, I'm just in on this thing on the 4-hour, and the trade is still moving, which is absolutely crazy to think about. Floating 25R profit at this stop, which is phenomenal, of course, with partials, but yeah, this move has been insane. And I've seen a lot of you are also on the crypto move. Mainly we've been looking at a lot of crypto, at gold, and at NAS, right? That has retained and continued to be the main things we're watching. So NAS, let me do this, gold and crypto. So like these three, there we go. So these three are the main ones we've been watching for the last 6-7 months. Oh, and UJ. So, it's interesting to see that the ones we've been watching are telling a very similar story over and over again. Now, again, as you guys know, NAS recently, I've stopped watching it. So here's what's interesting. Yeah. So you can see this on the 4-hour, it's still okay. But on my lower time frames, I've stopped watching this for a while. You can see why as well. Since around here, I believe, I stopped really watching this. And I think I maybe watched it a little bit here during the week, but I didn't see anything. So since here, I haven't watched this thing at all. And what's interesting is it's the only one that's showing a general stoppage in the green and red, as you can see right here. So, NAS has been a little bit on the sideline, so I can even get rid of the thing here. But these three, I've been watching like a hawk, like an absolute hawk. And they are things that are continuing to set up beautifully. So like for the upcoming week, you guys know these are going to be the main ones I'm watching for longs. It's as clear as day why, and the fact that they're moving very beautifully. And I'll even break down the trades today to go over the context of each trade too. So. There was a few other things that I wanted to discuss. That was one of them, the clear context. I had a little joke here, but how much more hindsight can we have? If you guys remember our one webinar, this is still not played out. This is gold on the daily, but we spoke about gold. Again, this is going to go hand in hand with the context that we've been talking about forever. But here is where we had that webinar. You can see right here. This is where I drew a red guy and then said we're going to see the continuations up into the around 2396, 2396. So you can see we're still on our way there. So again, all hindsight, blah, 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 right? This is still where I'm generally watching and trading this thing until, the stage 2 of a higher time frame completes. There's nothing stopping this thing yet. And that's where I'm going to continue to follow it for. And I just want you to remember that all of this, for especially the people that are new, is stuff that we've discussed, countless times. This is what I've been waiting for, and this is what I keep watching. And this is actually the context I provided you guys before I traded the move here that came this week. Take a look where my move is. Take a look at when this was made. Okay. It's just a reminder that, we're looking at these things week after week until the context become clear, and then we start following them. And then all of a sudden, you know, you get these beautiful moves that, you know, this is by no means has to be the end of it. You can see I even tried another one and then it broke even before continuing to move, but that's okay. Because, you know, this week, hopefully, I get another move out of it, and then I can get in again, and then I can hopefully keep trailing this move until I get stopped out, and then make even more money. But I just want to quickly call back to one of our recent webinars, just to show you that, you know, the markets we watch, the things we watch, the way we think about trends don't just change randomly. They continue, they hold their merit, they hold their value, and until they start breaking down or completely doing something that we were not anticipating or watching for, we continue to follow them, because that's how trends function. That's how money moves. And the weak money is not able to understand that, so they're usually on the other side trying to consistently predict the opposite side of the market, right? But this has just been absolutely beautiful. So I wanted to bring your attention to that from a few weeks ago. And then of course, all of you that have, as a result, been in this gold move too. I think there was like an insane amount of people. This guy's on gold, another guy on gold. He said, whoa, where's it going? Why is it making so many crazy moves? This guy's on gold, it's Karar, Vlad's on gold. I mean, you guys probably, I'm on gold. You guys probably saw this throughout the week, but so many members caught and are taking this thing up. And again, it begs the question, and it, again, hopefully shows a lot of people that are new here, is it randomized how we're continuing to catch some of these beautiful, beautiful trends out of nowhere, or are we following a template that allows us to follow trends, right? Oh, you're in Bitcoin, nice. And once you start realizing that the answer is that we're following a template for trend, you can actually start to become very confident in following and learning the things that are taught here, because we do the same thing on repeat and we never stop. It's like the exact same thing on repeat. It's almost boring in some sense. I still love it. I think it's amazing that I can simply like use a tool that I'm even making better right now to decide what is actually clear, and then I can go to the thing, find the clear move and trade it. I think that's an amazing thing. And I want you guys to have the same opportunities if you want them. Shizen says, I collected 100 trades, refined my system, collected another 500 trades, and now the last 500 to go before going to the challenge phase. Let's go, bro. Let's go. And I know, it's funny because I know Shizen's been putting in insane work. This guy's been consistently taking notes, sharing his notes on multiple things, and as a result, I know he's following the exact process. Oh shit, my mic is really loud. I know he's been following the exact process laid out here, which means I know he's on the process of collecting data properly, which also means that by the time he gets to that 1,000 mark, which he is halfway there already, he's going to easily, generally easily, pass a challenge or start trading a personal account with flying color. It's going to be easy for him. And again, people are going to look at him and say, how did he do it? What are the secrets? You know? The Mint community milked gold this week. Yes, we did. It's been so beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And it's funny because I missed trades on this thing. There were so many trades on this thing. I'm a little bit sick still because I just got back from Utah. It was very cold there, but yep. Dan says, simplicity is the best way to use this sheet. Don't overcomplicate. Yep. When did you break even on the gold trade? For both of them. So for this one right here, I broke even on this candle right here. So the second this candle basically completed and closed right there, I broke even on this move. So after about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes or so, yeah, about 20 minutes. And then for this trade right here, I broke even as this candle broke this high. So this candle was nice, but I was like, it could easily pull back, and it did, but it didn't make it all the way back here. And then as this candle broke this high, I broke even. And I was really considering taking a partial right here. But then I was like, I'll let it make one more up candle, and then I'll, put a stop under the low. But you can see it didn't do that, and then I ended up taking a straight up break even on this thing at this tiny little point right there. Boop. And then I broke even. But that's part of the game. That's something that you have to be aware of. And again, there was like another opportunity like through these highs if you took that, but I did not take it. And again, you would have broken even right as it broke that high, or right on this candle. It's up to you. And this would have been a very nice end of the week, but I didn't take that, so it is what it is. But yeah, both of them were very quick break evens. This one just didn't break even, this one did, and that's all that happened, right? So let's keep going. Ment, would you take that trade on the gold despite the 20-minute long range? Which one? That trade. I don't know which one we're talking about, my good man. That calculator is badass, thank you. Yeah, the calculator is awesome. You know, use the calculator to get your actual RR or whatever. Me and Dan will update this to show you the actual number that you can copy paste to make it very easy. And then start filling this out. Start doing it, because it's going to completely change your entire system. And again, like, you know, I've just been looking at some of the stuff. I hope Dan's okay with me showing this. If he's not, then oops. So he put his personal journal together. Oops. Oops, Dan. Let go of his journal. He put his entire journal together. I just want to show you guys this for the data collection element and why it's so important. And again, the question comes down to, do you think the trader here, so Dan particularly, is going to be confident in executing a system? Well, this is actually his live trading, but do you think he's going to be confident executing a system if this is what he had in front of him after X amount of hours of work? Or do you think he'd be very worried about the fact that a system might not make him money, even if there's break evens and losses for a while? Right? Let me scroll down here. Was shitting myself. It's already public. Oh, okay, good. Right. So I want you all to just recognize, you know, when you get to a point where you do something like this, you start to realize what your system is capable of. And also, I really want to bring to your attention the fact that how important compounding, if you can compound in your account, is, right? Just through compounding, you can see the same thing I spoke about a few weeks ago, where the lines will start to deviate from each other, right? Just compounding put his all-time high on this at 2.7 mil, non-compounding 2.6 mil. That means he made an extra 100K for doing how much work extra, guys? How much extra work did he do to make an extra 100K by just compounding? Zero. He did nothing in regards to needing to change things to make an extra 100K, right? And I just want to bring your attention right now to the fact that if I go ahead and make a copy of this, which I cannot do, unlucky. Dan, open up your sheet really quick. Just change this risk right here to 1% for me, just for the sake of one explanation. Thank you. Just 1% difference. I just want you to recognize, guys, from 3.2 mil to 3.7. So he's made an extra 500K at a basic risk of 1% for doing zero extra work. Now, again, the risk of ruin goes up, of course, just due to the fact that you have editor access now. Refresh. Okay, nice. So the risk of ruin, of course, has gone up. But again, if he's trading his own account, then he's perfectly fine in regards to the risk of ruin. So I just want to remind you that. But you can see why it's so important to recognize that over time, all of you with an actual system, actually, let me ask you, given that you have an edge and a decent enough system, does it make sense that all of you can get to at least a $1 million mark? Right? Of course, the answer is as easy a yes as it can be, but also it's not as easy to do unless you've already done the prior work. But I think this is a beautiful representation of how compounding works, right? Where just by simply compounding, where he's leaving money in the account and trading it, you can see the discrepancy and how large the difference becomes over time, right? Because your RR curve, remember guys, the RR is always going to be the uncompounded version, because RR is always going to be static. Even if you're taking 5 RR wins, 1 RR loss, it's always going to be +5, -1, -1, -1, break even, -1, +5, +5, -1, -1, -1, break even, +5, etc. So it'll always look like this. But the second you extrapolate RR, the curve, to a compounding version, it becomes exponential, right? This is the beauty of trading. This is how exponential trading works, right? 0.5% is what he uses right now, and you can see Absolutely beautiful. It's slower, of course, because there's less risk. So every time it goes, it's by less risk. But this is why I always talk about the fact that you need to be aware that you're going to be compounding in your trading. So yeah, this has been absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And this is all just by putting together. Yeah, he just put all his data together. And the reality of this is anybody that... Let me ask you guys a real question. If any of you, realistically... So this is just going to answer an age-old question. Let's say you guys never live traded in your life. Let's say all of you opened up a simulated account, completely demo, and forward tested for 2 months. After 2 months of forward testing, which means that you did it before price delivered, this is what you had out of your system. Do you think that you could get onto a live account and perform the same way? I want to see a real answer from people. So some people are saying no. No, not about data, guys, not about data. You've already done the data, and this is now your forward test on live price, okay, after 3 months. Do you think that you could now be a live trader? Good. Yeah, you could. Exactly. That's what I'm trying to get across to everybody. Yes, this is all it really takes, right? It's as a trader or someone that's learning to trade, it seems like everything is too far out of reach. You're like, fuck, I don't know how I'm ever gonna get there. Fuck, I don't know how I'm gonna make money. Shit, I don't know how I'm gonna make millions. I don't know how I'm gonna do any of this. But remember, if you've done the work, this is the work right here, and you're forward testing, okay, which means live trading, but not with real money, shows you this, every part of your inside and your confidence should be going ding, 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 right? Because everything is done, right? It's all done. It's gonna feel super crazy because again, you put in all this work. You've seen no reward from the work you've put in, and all of a sudden, the reward is ready to be grasped, right? The reward is in front of you. You can just take it, right? You've made your way into Aladdin's cave, and you have the lamp, and you're like, there's no way I have a lamp. There's no way I can make these 3 wishes, but yeah, it's in front of you now. You have everything you ever need, right? But until you've done this, your confidence is always going to be lacking. Your FOMO is always going to be existing. The markets you follow are always going to be randomized. The trades you're taking are always going to be random until you've done this. And then nothing stops you because now you know exactly what's required of you, what market should be traded, when you should be sitting out, how to even expect a trade to play out, right? How to expect lose streaks or break even streaks. Look at this. Dan had a streak of over 10, 15 trades that were break even and losing him money. And now he's having it again. Do you think there's a single bone in his body that's shaking with fear that his system has lost its edge, right? No, there's nothing like that. Because not only has he started the forward test, but he's also done the prior work already. And he knows that. And people that watch him and look up to him know that. Now the question is, are you going to follow in the same suit? Okay, so that's enough for data collection. Thank you, Dan, for letting us view your sheet. And also for helping us make this sheet, because this sheet's fucking insanely nice. Shiver me timbers, yeah. Right, and again, it comes back to the same age-old idea that, again, if you guys really study my results of this last week when I recorded them, really take a look at what's going on, ready? We're gonna call a break-even a loss. Does everyone agree with that? If I call a break-even just a normal loss in terms of win rate. Is that cool? Okay, cool. So just for this week alone, guys, I want to show you guys something. 2 trades, 1 was a win. Okay? 2 trades, none were wins. 3 trades, 1 was a minor win. 1 trade, loss. 2 trades, 1 was a win. GBTC 1 trade, but this one was a break even. So again, a loss. So let's add that up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then how many trades did I take total? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 7 out of 10. So that means, guys, I had a 70% lose rate. A 30% win rate this week, guys. 30% win rate. Of all the trades I took, 30% were winners. I made 13.7 RR. I made over 10% this week. Okay? Your win rate does not matter. Your losses are necessary. This is just a reminder, a consistent reminder that all you need to do in this market is take your losses with style. That's it. Enjoy them. Don't, again, if you don't have an edge, don't just go in, loss, yeah, let's go gamble, gamble, gamble. Okay, that's dumb. Have an edge, work on your edge, and then allow the losses to flourish, because they're the only things controlling your bottom line, the only thing. Guys, I didn't take 7 losses, okay, so I can be like, oh, fuck yeah. I took 7 losses so I can make money. I'm not here wanting to take losses, but because I'm a trader, it's the only thing that I know will make me money, okay? So assume the loss and make money is all it comes down to. Because again, you don't know when the big trades or when the winners will come. But the edge is there. And yeah, this was crazy to watch. You know, one of our members, 3 days, got funded 3 different times with Mint funding, which was just crazy. And this is all gold. He also traded gold all the way up. So this is really cool to see. Same exact thing. I gave him a little bit of a shout out here because it was really cool to see that. All right, there's a few more things before we hit the breakdown for everyone. Was this Shelton? You think you broke it? Oh, unbreak it, bro, unbreak it. What else do we have? How much more hindsight? So that was our hindsight of the week, even though we spoke about it. Subjective scammers. What the fuck? I write the weirdest notes when I want to talk about things. Let's see. Oh. Yeah. I mean, this is a point I make all the time. I'll make it very quickly. There's a very big misunderstanding in the trading space where people think that everything should be objective. So like, you know, you can easily just follow something with simple rules and make money, which has never ever been the case for profitable trading. You know, I just want to remind everybody that any trader that argues or claims that what they're doing is not based on some kind of individual subjectivism is scamming you or is after your money. And then what I did as a follow-up is just to write that every concept here that we teach carries a weight of subjection, but it manifests, okay, as independent objection. Because what will happen over time is as you hone an edge, everything about your edge in regards to how you're trading, the moments that you choose to trade, the markets you choose to trade, how you choose to trade them, and when you choose to enter, those things become objective to the person. So my system to myself, if I take something, is objective to me always. It's not subjective. It's subjective in terms of what markets am I looking at to actually do this, but the trade itself is objective. So everything that you do, even when it's using subjective things, is going to manifest as an objective system. But I want you to remember that anyone claiming to teach you something that is completely objective, where you just simply follow 1, 2, 3 and you'll make money, out of their fucking minds, okay? So just remember that, because you will never, ever have a system where you can just kind of, you know that you're taking the exact same trades as someone else, unless you invest in a fund or a hedge fund, because now you're taking the trades of those people. Is the only way it works. Just remember that. If you want to trade, you need to recognize that over time, the things you're doing are going to become objective, but to other people, when they look at your system, it's subjective, okay? So just remember that, because it's so crazy to see all these people online sell things that they're claiming is like, just follow a few rules and you're going to be fine. It's like, god damn, you are so fucked. For the people that are learning from that. What's another one? Why it's so important to always look for the things you don't see? Oh, yes. So, okay, this is my man Bruno. So very quickly, I had a one-on-one with him. So we went through a one-on-one, worked on a lot of the stuff that he was missing, and it only took one video until after where he started to notice moments that he hadn't noticed at all before. Which again, I want to talk about it for just a second to give you guys the rule, which is always be after and be looking for things that you might not be spotting right now. You know, you're taking double MBs or ICIs, sure, that's great. Take a look at the ICIs you're taking, take a look at the moves you're taking, and just ask yourself, what are some of the context pieces that are making this one different from the next? Or what is making this one work and different from the ones that are losing? Always be aware of that, because that's the only way that you improve. That's why when you hear me say collect data and always look at the data, that's what you're doing, okay? Let's see what we else have. The most true psychological and money-related thing, easy money and real easy money you can use. What the fuck am I writing? Oh, okay, a Dan quote. A beautiful Dan quote. So this is something that I want, you know, we spoke about this a lot. I think somebody got muted in the team because of this week. Yeah, but basically Dan wrote it as best as he could from a standpoint of understanding like the trading space. He wrote, if you want easy money, get your driver's permit and do DoorDash. And I couldn't agree more, okay? Trading, on the other hand, is not easy money. It's also not something that you can pick up within a certain time scale. And that is 100% true. There's a high likelihood that it'll take you way more than 6 months to become profitable. That's entirely true as well. Maybe even 1 to 2 years. That is actually usually the timeline that I've seen. But you're wasting time, again, and just not watching the course. Like legit, you're shooting yourself in the foot. A lot of people know this. A little bit about Dan. He joined in April 2021, and he didn't see a single penny of profitability until the middle of 2022. And before Mint, he was trading all sorts of random shit since 2018. So, you know, like I just want to, especially if you're new right now and you've come here from a different mentorship or whatever, this is kind of the age-old thing where you came from and the time you spend doing other things does not really matter, right? Dan came here from 2018 to 2021 until he found us. That's 3 years before where a lot of random stuff was likely being done. Now, of course, he built up for himself what doesn't work, which is important because when he came here, it meant that he would focus 10 times harder than what he was doing before, right? Or if he found Mint the first time. He doesn't consider himself dumb, which I agree with. He's actually pretty academically smart and can pick up stuff fairly quickly. And that is actually one of the worst qualities. I actually have this quality to have in trading, because the second you think that you're generally smart, you're actually pretty good at what you do, and that you could pick this up, especially faster than other people that are kind of dumb, that's when you instantly fuck yourself, right? Yeah, like Dan is saying, he's borderline egotistic, and I was the exact same way. I probably still am the same way with most things. You know, it's like, want to go surfing? I don't know how. Don't care. I'll figure it out. You know, and I do. Boom, we're surfing now. You know, snowboarding. This is a real story. Didn't know how, but I knew how to ski. I said, I'll pick it up in a day. 12 hours later, I'm hitting the blacks. You know, I'm hitting the crazy runs. So like, it's very hard when you come into trading and you realize that your way of thinking about yourself, where you're pretty smart, you can pick stuff up, you've picked up other things in your life, you're going to be fine. All of a sudden, you're actually set back further than most people that are potentially dumber. So this is not a space where your smarts are going to matter in any way. You're going to be fucked forever if you think that way, right? But that is how a lot of people enter this space, and they think that they're going to be different in some way, right? And again, he left this up by saying, you know, it took me 4 years, it took Mint 5+ years, and 6 months is too much for this member. And that's exactly what's happening, right? Someone has joined, they want to make money, they're ready to put in the time, but if they're not profitable in 6 months, they kind of want out. And it's like, dude, you are fucking yourself, right? This is not good. And I wrote something about this. I believe I wrote something about this. I don't remember where, but I must have. I thought I did. I know I did somewhere, but I cannot find it right now. So that's fine. I'll just skip it for now and see if I can find it later. Not a joke. Maybe it's here. Well, there was a lot of really, really helpful stuff that happened this week. You know, Doc brought a beautiful talking point as well. Kind of same thing. You know, this is fucking hard. He's a physician, and he believes personally that his schooling was way easier. It takes loads of efforts to do this for months or years. Go back to the welcome, watch the videos, blah, 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 blah. You know, it felt like he was very young. It is. But the point is, this is harder than most of the things you'll ever do. I wrote something. I know I wrote it. I just don't know where it is. Maybe I can find it. Because this is something that I really wanted to bring up. Okay. Because this is the last thing I'll bring up before we do a full-on breakdown. Yes. Yes, this one. This one. Okay, so I wrote, yeah, I was responding to Doc, who said basically, this is really hard. This is the last thing I want to say before we go into a full breakdown, okay, guys? I wrote, a ton of respect for you for taking the time to write this out. You're 100% correct. And this is what I really want everyone to understand here. From my personal view, close to everything I did in my life, in parentheses, while I was trying to become a trader, was quote unquote easy, okay? Albeit, whatever, however you say it, it was hard, but it was easy because despite all the shit I was personally doing, trading was still the one that took me the longest, okay? So I really want this to sit with you for a second. I flew through all of high school on a giga crazy program, so what I would consider a very hard program that many flunk out of without even thinking about what I was doing. I got into college and passed it with an ounce of studying. I barely studied. I worked 11-hour shifts, guys, for months just to save up and make some good money. I worked 6 months for a hedge fund admin and made more money than I ever made doing anything else. I was basically drinking coffee all day and watching TV shows, so it felt very easy. All of this while still not seeing permanent success in trading. So this alone should show you very heavily that, you're not alone in regards to this, the fact that this is hard, but also how hard it actually is. I went through what you could call the game of life, because I played the game of life, and if you don't even take trading into account, I did it with ease. If I took trading out of the equation, some of those things could be viewed as, wow, very hard. Wow, you did a lot of work. The second you put trading in, everything that I did looks like a fucking joke now, which is very important because all those things were not a joke. A lot of those things were very hard. A lot of those things were sleepless nights. A lot of those things were me driving myself fucking crazy, right? But the second you add trading to the mix of everything I did, those things are a joke. They look like a joke. So what I wrote is everything that I've done in my life and accomplished was able to be accomplished with the exception of trading. The skill is not a joke and it takes real time. So basically I said that is why you're hearing people tell you the same thing over and over again. It's crazy for me to look back on my life and recognize that I've accomplished more without trading. So if I took trading out of the mix, my life without trading, I've accomplished more than most accomplished 5 to 10 years out of college, okay? Because I was on a path to doing a lot of things, right? And that's without even considering trading. And everything I did at that level was easier than what I would view trading as. And then I wanted this to really sink in. So, this is not a way to gloat over the amazing things and opportunities that I've gotten in my life, because I got those opportunities for a number of reasons. Okay, so it's not to gloat over them, but it's also to look back at them and say, if this is all considered already higher than the average, and I consider trading to be harder than anything I've ever done in my life, right? How is it that somebody can show up and be weirded out and not understand the fact that a minimum of 6 months of work is only a starting point in your trading career, right? So that's the kind of the main things that was kind of going off in my head where like, I've done very hard things in my life and none of them compared to what trading was, right? I did all of these hard things without even thinking of them while trying to learn to trade properly. So I hope that just that alone sits with you in some way, because it was not fucking easy. Okay, it was hard. And if you are in a point where you couldn't reach, let's say, a higher level in whatever industry you're in, whatever industry, what the fuck makes you think that with even less work, you're gonna do it in trading? Yeah. If you haven't, so that's something that's the last thing I'll say is, if you haven't reached one of the higher ends of a skill within any other area that you've worked in your life, what makes you think that some bit of time spent trading is going to put you at the top? Chris says, it goes back to Men's point about us being our own worst enemy and getting in our way. Yes, we are conditioned to win all the time, so thinking we can be super successful while losing way more than winning, low win rate, high return, this path you have laid out for us is proven. Let us not reinvent the wheel, just follow the road to success. Yep, exactly. Dalen says, trading is the hardest thing I've ever done. Yeah, let's not forget, guys, that trading is extremely fucking difficult. Vlad says, remember you once said that league is harder than trading. Do you still believe so? Yes, you know why? Because you consistently have to reinvent and change your play style, the way in which you're going to play. Like the people that are like video game experts, professionals that compete, they compete for how many years max? Do you know? How many maximum years? Like 4. Yep, 3 or 4. Why? Because not only is it so much work and stress inducing, they consistently have to improve, and then someone's already better than them. So it is actually significantly harder than trading, for sure. Because in trading, you get good once, you can do it for the next 80 years and then die and you're fine. Right? Does everyone understand that? Like, there's so many things that, there are so many reasons that trading is an amazing thing. It never changes. It's never going to change. But at the same time, there are thousands of reasons that it's very, very hard. And it's one of the hardest things that you will do. So, yeah. Bagyesh says, agreed. I was on a course way before this and my mentality was that, but ever since I joined this mentorship, it was humbled to me so much and completely changed my view on trading. Good. Good. And yeah, okay, last point, a little bit about technicals is that, you know, we had somebody send a little photo of their higher time frame, validation time frame, and entry time frame, and kind of what they look for. And you might notice that there's a few very important rules here. He has one about MAs here. He has another one about MAs here, and another one about MAs here. I'm bringing this out because, again, a second ago I said, look out for the things that you might not be thinking about now, or look out for things that could completely change the way that you approach a market. And this is one of them, right? This is one of the things that I've introduced in my trading a while back, but have begun teaching a lot more. And basically he said is that he loves them because they keep me out of a lot of shit action, especially on the higher time frame they're choppy. And this is a very important thing because this simple rule of what do the MAs look like on any given time frame, on my higher time frame, on my lower time frame, completely changed the way that he would approach the market, right? Because a lot of you might know that I didn't watch gold at all during this whole time here until it started coming out, and then I started watching it around these points here, right? Or like as it started coming out, whatever, like around these points here. And it was all because of where the MAs existed and the way they were moving on a higher time frame. So in a lot of cases, it's going to be small things, small concepts that completely change the areas in which you might even look to trade, which again, is this game of patience, or this game of not trading and not being in environments that are not going to bring you straight up success out of the trades, right? Sarah says, for me, I don't understand how you can expect to make hundreds of thousands / millions without actually putting in the time and skill. If it was easy, everyone would trade and actually stick to it. Yep. This skill can provide so much freedom, but only if you put in the time, the real time. Yeah. And that real time comment, quote, you know, meaning cannot go unnoticed. It's truly a fuck ton of work. Alex says, it's fun how many think that trading is the most changeable industry, though we like it because it's the other way around. Exactly. This, trading, unironically, is the only industry that never changes. That's the crazy part. Trading has never changed in regards to what works and what doesn't, especially if you stick to it. It's changed in terms of what markets do you have access to, what assets, how can you trade them, what are the tools that you might be able to use, like, you know, MB's models, the way that I teach them, didn't exist. They did exist, you could find them, but they didn't exist in terms of the way they were taught, and we would look for them. Now they do. But if you go back now, they've always been around in terms of what worked. So if you found out and did them and used them way back in the time, you would still, it would still work today. So what's funny is the industry itself never changes, but you need to stick to something, because until you do, you're always going to be in the game of hopping, right? And changing and changing and changing. Dalen says, are you using MAs or EMAs? This is the setup I have right now. Okay. You can look at that, take a photo if you want. Vlad says, Anton, do you endorse us coming up with our own rules that are maybe different than what you teach? Yeah, of course. I talk about it all the time. If you're profitable, then by all means. But if you're not profitable and then you're asking me about a tool that I don't use or using a tool that I teach wrong, I'm going to say this makes no sense. Why are you doing that? Right? I use models, MBs, MAs like you do, but on top of it, I like to utilize support resistance. You can do that, especially for context. Entries, ICI. Usually I want to see price trade above a certain level before looking for trades. Sure. Absolutely no problem with that, right? But again, just remember, like, I use a version of it, right? I just look at it. So like you might use a support line or whatever like this, and you say, when it gets above this, I want to trade it. That's fine. I don't care, right? But when I look at this, I see the line as something that looks like this, right? So I know that once price starts pushing above this, it's acting as a new bit of right-hand side price action where I want to see it now move higher and higher. So I'm kind of using a version of it too, but I'm not looking for anything like that. Like in silver, yeah, exactly, right? So I'm not looking in silver for a line that I can trade above, right? So when I zoom out on this, I don't go, you know, I could say like here, if it goes above this, I'll trade it. But instead for me, it's okay. You know, price is kind of moving down. It's on the right side, it started going sideways here. So basically, I don't want to see it either come down and then start moving here and I can follow it here, or come up and I can start following it here because now it's above all this. So it's the same thing, I just don't use a line or an area for it. I just understand what I want to look for in price. So that's completely up to you. Avery the Great says, something you teach which I personally have not seen another YouTuber or mentor teach is context. This mentorship just has it all. Yeah, of course. It's so much easier to teach, hey guys, welcome to my new video. Today, price hit a support and resistance. Today, I took a trade and I made money. Join my course. It's like, dude, if I could, like, it would be so easy. But I don't have it in me to swindle like that. It's just not, it's not gonna happen. Bad guess is, I think I was talking to Aid this week about how much content there is. It thinks it's more than what you available for a degree. Maybe. It's probably just around the same, maybe less. Actually, probably less because you get through it in a lot less than 4 years, trust me. You can get through everything here if you really wanted to in like 3 months, 6 months without a single issue. Without even having to rush it, you could get through it. Let's see where we were. Oh, there's a John sent a multifaceted question. So my brother John, if it's too long, I'm gonna skip here and just say, you know, you should take a one-on-one to go over like very specifics, but I'll take a look. In last week's webinar and in the recent system 4, you talked about watching for price on the validation time frame, the surf rising MAs before stepping down. But sometimes I find myself looking in the places that you ignore. Would you mind taking a look at these examples and let me know your thoughts? Why did you ignore these areas? So price came up, broke down big time, and then was range bound in whatever this was for a while, and then I just didn't watch it. I mean, you could have watched it. It's probably because of the fact that it was just going to the side a lot. I don't know what this was on. I don't know the higher time frames. This was probably, again, built out through context, right? Reasonable to expect a green box here. Yeah, of course, but it never even moved up there. And prior, the action was not super clear. It came up over the MAs, right? And then it never moved any higher. But then here, it came up over the MAs, started to sail, beautiful MAs, and then went. So that's why we looked at that price action. MTF. Safe to expect a green box here. I believe I was watching this one. Accumulation, reaccumulation, starts holding the low, starts moving higher, and then I started to watch it, but it never did, and then it broke down, so I stopped watching it. So yeah. If you want to look at very particular circumstances that weren't, you know, in a specific week, then I would take a one-on-one for sure. And we can go over like specific circumstances and look at them, but iPhone says, I spent about 3.5 hours explaining my old mentor the importance of journal and data. I did nothing but criticize the data, journal, demo process. He told me to open a 100 account to lose the fear of the market. Yeah. That's the classic. Open an account, just try trading, good luck. You know, it's like, it's so stupid. He said he knows everything about EU and GJ because he watched it every day. Yeah, those are scammers. 100%. Compman says, hi Anton, my system is 1 hour, 5 minute, 1 minute. Cool. I've been doing so much testing. If even the higher time frame should be with the current bias, given the 4 hour and daily is so far disconnected from entry. I had a rule where I said that as long as the hourly isn't a clean model, I'd get involved, but testing is showing that there's more opportunities when the 4 hour is also aligned. Can you provide some insights and break it down a bit? Sure. Here's your insight. Of course, if you use just 3 things, it is very likely that you might do a little bit worse than if you use a conjunction of multiple. Hence why the screener was built out like this. Not with 3 time frames, not with 2 time frames, but with multiple. Because when something is in a generally green but everything else is red, it's going to move a little bit worse than something that is generally green everywhere. So that comes back to the exact thing you're saying here, which is, hey, when things are clean like this, it's okay. But I find that when the 4 hour as well is clean, all of a sudden, more markets are clear. Well, now you know why I look for specifically trending markets, right? Across multiple timeframes rather than something that is okay on one time frame and then I can maybe trade it. I look for a conjunction of things that are going on, right? So you basically just defined why I teach this concept, why I made this tool available, and why the software I'm building out is based in this kind of way of thinking, right? Versus just saying, hey, use 3 timeframes, good luck, have fun, right? Spaceship? Yeah, this is a spaceship. That is why. So that everything you just said lines up. You have more things in agreement, the price is a little bit cleaner. Also, he couldn't understand the fact that I can trade whatever. Yeah, you can't explain to someone that doesn't actually do this full time or long term the things that you've learned here. It's gonna be they're just gonna think you're going crazy. But that's whatever. Who cares? Good luck to those people. Good luck to those people. Yeah, I talk about that all the time. You need to have permanent consistency in trading because no one's going to do it for you, right? There's an endless supply of people in the trading space that will always try to call out others for whatever reason. And they don't realize that in no way is it going to help their trading. There's just an endless supply of people like that. And there's an endless supply of people that, think that their success is based on someone else, right? Like, I know when I look at, let's say, Dan or anyone here that's been funded, that they're funded because they had access to good tools. Okay, I know that much is true, right? But I also know that with access to good tools anywhere else, they would have found a similar level of success, right? So at the bottom of it, the similar variable is not necessarily this mentorship or these tools. The variable is the things that the person did, right? And the consistency the person had and the responsibility they took on. So when I look at Dan, I don't see someone that is only successful because he's here at all, even if he sees it that way. I simply look at him and I say, you did this because you had the tenacity to stick it through, the responsibility that you took on to do the things that were meant of you to do, and the process that you were able to now follow, right? Whatever that process was, in this case, it was the MentFX area, that's great. And other people can now look to the fact that that process worked for someone and follow that process. But I know that he could do this himself too, which is very important because this is a 2-man game. It's not a game of, I tell you what to do, you do it, and you're going to be successful. It's, I tell you what works for me and what I've done and what other people have done, and you follow it, and you do it yourself, because it's the only way you get there. Jordan says, no offense for calling you a tool, but Anton, you are the most valuable tool in the trading space. Thanks, bro. Thank you. I appreciate you. Okay, guys, let's do a breakdown of some of the trades this week. Dan says, and anyone can, if I can do it. Literally anyone can do it. Just churn up and do it. Yeah. Yep. So, let's do a breakdown. Okay. A nice little week in review. And as we do it, I could even take the time to fill out the data collection to show everybody how to fill it out. So we'll start with gold, because gold has been absolutely beautiful. And many people have traded it, and it's been a phenomenal pair to follow. So let's go ahead and find our trades. So this was gold. And I'll move this over for now. Actually, no, I won't. I'll go like this, like this. Okay, cool. US oil was also great to trade. So I didn't trade oil. We'll take a look at it after. We'll do a little look through of things after. But we're going to start with gold here. Okay, we're going to start with gold. So first things first, let's always go through the process of what does a trade in general look like for me. So here go our 3 bubbles, okay? So on average, guys, my entry of time frame is 5 minute. So what is 4 to 6 times that? So we're gonna first of all lay out our general system. So about 30 minutes, cool. And then what's 5 times 60 or so? 5 hours, 6 hours, something around there, right? So 4 hours, 6 hours, whatever you want. 4 hours, 5 hours, doesn't matter, 5 hours. So this should be our general system, okay? This should be our general system of time frames. And then of course, you can draw out others as well, right? So this is the Spider-Man, right? Spider-Verse. You can have a few others. This is where like the screener comes in. And if you want to, as a trader, you can look at these to justify an idea. So this is the general approach from time frame usage that I'd look at, right? So I can go ahead and put that in here if I want to, okay? Beautiful. Beautiful. So I know this is what I'm generally looking for. Let's go back over here. So first things first, always, okay, is to actually take a general look at this idea. How can I do that? The screener, which is getting better and better, and I have some amazing updates in the works, okay? Amazing updates in the works. But until then, we just wait, okay? So the first thing I do is I look at generally this. So again, 5 minute, 30 minute, 5 hour. So what I could do is I could go to here, okay, and I could say 5 minute, 30 minute, 5 hour. And what I also could do, or like 4 hour. And what I also could do is I could actually get rid of the 5 minute, because theoretically the 5 minute could still be in a bearish model, right? But become bullish, right? So maybe you add maybe like an hourly or a daily or something, right? And then I could look for all bullish. Now again, a problem with doing something like this is that if one of these are bearish for like gold, it will not show up, right? So we have to be aware of that. But I'll save it now for the way it is. I'll filter it, show filters, okay? And I'll just take a look. So you can see as we do this, well, a few things show up. You know, gold's on here, JER 30, US 500, silver, US 30, US oil. Oh, someone said oil, right? Look at that. GBP AUD. Oh, guess what? I traded this week, guys. GBP AUD, right? UZCHF, AUD NZD. So a lot of things are green. Now, of course, you can change this up a little bit in case something is showing red. So in case a 1 hour on gold is something else, I could maybe even change this to like a daily, just to take a look. You can see now gold no longer shows up. So if you were using a version like this, you might want to change that up a bit just to get a good balance, right? Or if we hide the filters, you can simply filter like this and just look at everything that's relatively green, right? Relatively green, take a look, go through, blah, 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 and then find all the things that are relatively green. So that's another way to do it. So overall, can we all attest to the fact, before we even look at price, that the generality of gold from a standpoint of a multitudinal look of our timeframes of trading and the multiple things associated with it is showing that there's accumulation happening? Is that at least clear? Now, we don't know if that accumulation that's occurring is worth trading. So this is where a lot of you might remember, I didn't trade gold during this whole time here. I didn't trade gold during this whole time here until it started to come out of that price action. So that is where independent looking at the actual market is going to come in, right? You still need to be able to decide if the accumulation being shown by some kind of market is worthy of your money and your capital to actually be traded. Because even though it's showing bullishness, it might not be worth it, right? So to start with the daily, because again, we can start with anything, okay? I could start with a 5 hour or I could go higher. Does everyone understand that? Does everyone understand why I can start with a daily and it not be a big deal? Okay? Because again, it's associated to the timeframes we're generally looking at. And again, just like the question somebody asked a second ago, the more things I have in line, the better the potential trade idea, especially if everything is lining up, okay? Now, a few weeks ago, this is where I get to burst my own bubble over the fact that we've been talking about this for months, blah, blah, blah. We've been bullish on gold forever. Ever since this break here, we've been bullish. If you guys remember, I was talking at the time of this break here, I was discussing how during the week I would want to follow longs. And then it just fell down, so I didn't follow it. That's it, right? As it broke down, there was nothing for me to follow, and then I stopped. Or I started to look for, like maybe around here I started watching, and then it had fucked off, and then I stopped watching it entirely, right? So we've been bullish on this thing for a while, but we've been on and off bullish, which is important because I talk about this all the time. Just because you're bullish or bearish on something does not mean you're trading. And it also does not mean that you're taking trades in that direction. Just because I think something's bullish doesn't mean I'm taking longs. Does everyone understand how that works too? Because again, if I'm bullish on crypto, which I am, guys, this upcoming week, I'm super bullish on this. I want to take longs on it, okay? This is what I'm looking for. I'm going to take as many longs as I can, but, so Tyria says nope. But let me ask you this. So Tyria, I'm very bullish on this. I want to take this long. Now let me ask you this. If the price opens tomorrow and does this, will I now take a long? So this is only for Tyria, not for anybody else. Price opens up and does this. Do I take a long? Okay, you say no. Okay, let's say it then breaks again, like this. Do I now take a long? I wait for the P. Okay, hold on. That's not what I'm talking about. Okay, so then let's say it does this. Should I take a long over this high now and buy it right there? Okay, then it comes down, falls off, goes here. Do I buy it now? Okay, exactly. So the point is, I'm very bullish on crypto. I'm very bullish on GBTC, whatever. But that does not mean that I'm taking longs. Okay, this is very important. I have a very specific thing I'm looking for to take a long on this, right? So even if price goes down for the next 3 months, I don't lose a single dime, right? If it sets up and goes down and then I take a loss, that's fine. But it's very important to draw a difference, a correlation or a non-correlation between the fact that your bias and the trades are two very different things. You can have a bias and not ever take a trade. You can have a bias and then take a trade. Those two things are not correlated. The only thing that's true between them is that if there's a bias, you want to take a trade with the direction of the bias. Those are the only two things that are true, okay? But just having a bias doesn't mean shit in regards to your trades. This is why a lot of retail, can you guys guess the issue they have? I've been bullish on a market, but I keep losing. Being bullish does not mean you should be taking trades. Okay? Family is calling. Happy holidays. Happy holidays, Dominic. I'll see you. Buy low, sell. Yeah. Someone asked, GBTC, is that the same as Bitcoin USD? Yes, it's an ETF. So it's traded on the US stock market, which allows me to trade it. But Bitcoin USD is the exact same thing. Actually, it's moving very, very nicely. Very nicely. Yes. So come Monday, this thing should be ready for a nice move. You can see it's around the same price. Well, not price, but like around the same move. But this is setting up very nicely. I would love to see something like this in once Monday comes around. But nonetheless, let's go back to gold. So again, just a reminder that just having a bias does not mean you should be taking trades. Similarly, if you guys remember, we spoke about it here to go long. If price instead did this, do you think I would have taken any trades or any losses? Right? Of course not. Phenomenal. Because again, it wouldn't have even given me an opportunity to even grab a trade, right? There's a specific thing I'm looking for to get involved and then actually take a trade. So overall, just starting on the daily chart, okay, we have overall bullishness. We have it through a few tools, right? Remember, there's a few tools I use. I use the models, which is context, and then that's multi-time frame, of course. 2 is institutional structure, right? What is the actual market moving like? Okay, this is section 1 material. And 3, the MAs, right? Is price on / surfing the MAs? Is it above the MAs, etc.? So MA-based questions that I ask myself. Okay, so first things first is I can look at the models. Well, actually, I can start with institutional structure first. And by looking at it, just simply zooming out a little bit, is there a cognizant orders that are coming into this market that are representing overall longs, sideways, chop, or going down. So let me try to draw the best version of what I can in. Is this showing a general form of longs, chop, or down? Longs. It's continuing to move long. So that's all I need. All I know now from an institutional perspective is that we want to move long. I don't care if I'm at the highest high or the next higher low. I don't give a shit. All I care about is the fact that overall, no matter how I draw it, it's showing longs. If I draw it like this, it's showing longs. If I draw it from here, it's showing longs. If I draw it from here, it's showing longs. Everything about this, from a Section 1 material standpoint of institutional structure, is showcasing that price wants to continue moving long. Now, I can look at the models. And the reason I look at models after is because if this said redistribution, which it did when price was here, is that still a redistribution for me? So let me show you guys. When I go here, look what it says. It says that the price is in a redistribution. Is it a redistribution though? It's not. Now, what about it changes it from being a redistribution? No, what about it? Yes, institutional strength. So that's why institutional structure is so important, because even though this down, 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 up, up, even though this is a redistribution, the impulses of the up have created new institutional longs. So again, we revert back to going, okay, what are the general models? Price is breaking down, price broke up, price broke down, down, and then broke up, up. And on breaking up, it's overall made a double MB and pushed above a larger term high. So all of a sudden, I push myself into viewing this as an accumulation. So at this point here, I was already in accumulation and following it long. But remember, that's not even where I traded it. But that is where you could have started. And that's where a lot of people made money. So we waited and the longs came in and phenomenal. Okay. Why is it not a reaccumulation? That doesn't need, well, you could, yes, sure. Yes, sure. Reaccumulation doesn't matter. Both are valid. Okay. Accumulation, reaccumulation, both are fine. Okay, let me get rid of this. Okay, great. So the first two elements, at least on this time frame, are pointing towards longs. Does everyone understand how this is viewed at the moment as an accumulation or reaccumulation and as an institutionally long-based market? Beautiful. Beautiful. Now again, goes the next form. These are the interaction with the MAs. Now, on average, when you have a longing-based market, here are the things that I generally look for now. Price should be above a 200 EMA, which is this red guy. Price should be on or at a upward sloping or generally upward sloping 10 or 50 MA. So those are all the ones you see here. 10, 50, 200. Above 200, over the 50 and 10, not too far away. At this point in price, when I began to look for longs, you can see my longs were here, this is where price was. Is price interacting with a 10, 50, or 200 rising EMA? Or 10 or 50 rising EMA? Yes, okay. Is price above a 200 EMA? It's as easy as possible, yes, okay. Is price surfing on a rising or generally rising 10 or 50 EMA? Does that mean that price has the opportunity or the chance to continue into a new stage 2 to the top side? My work here is done. All of this usually, just so you guys know, is done within 2 seconds of looking at a chart. I'm breaking it down for you so you know the thoughts that go into a chart, but all of this, everything that I just discussed on any given time frame is about 2 seconds for me when I look at it, okay? But again, it's important because if you don't have those rules written out for yourself yet, you need to know what you're looking for or you're consistently going to be on the wrong side. So now I can make my way down the block to the 5 hour, which is my general higher time frame, to take a look at it, okay? Let me go through these 3 things again. Institutionally, are we making overall moves higher? Especially before my actual trade, which was right here. I'm gonna show you where my trade was. Okay. Is it institutionally moving long? No matter where I draw it? Pretty much yes, right? It's out of whatever this sideways action was. It's making higher highs, higher lows institutionally. It's moving higher, whether I draw it like that, whether I draw it like this, okay? Everything is showcasing that it wants to move, for the most part, long. Even if I draw it like this and make mini draws, does everyone see how this generally wants to move higher? It doesn't have to be perfect. I don't have to get the exact higher highs, higher lows. All I want to make sure of is that price isn't landlocked. If, on the other hand, price was like this, is this demonstrating that price is overall creating clear institutional higher high, higher lows, or is it kind of sidewaysing, right? So this is why I asked myself that question, right? So even though it might be doing something like this, or it was doing something like this, it stopped at some point. It started being a little bit weird. Now at this point here, it's actually funny because I would say that it's now clearer because it's made its way above this point. So now I could actually be long on it. And you can see why, if you guys remember, during this time, I was long on it. You guys might remember that, right? So institutionally, that's one of the reasons that I actually began to watch for longs here and started to follow it. I don't know if you guys remember that during the webinars, but this is where I began to look at it again, right? So that is one of the reasons, but also because the MAs became clearer. Price began to sail where? Above the MAs, right? So institutionally, we're there. Secondly, is the models or the context aligned with bullishness? As clear as day. Overall back and forth accumulation. What do we call this kind of movement though as well? What do we call this? Stage 1, also known as the blueprint, right? That back and forth. Price then moves higher, so clear accumulation, and then price is just moving in accumulation. There's no reason I can't anticipate this to keep moving in accumulation. Does everyone follow why? Does everyone follow the fact that overall the MBs are continuing to show bullishness in its delivery? Okay, and then third question. Is price above the 200 EMA? Because again, this has now become a part of my trading because it's become so clear for a trend. Yes. Is price on or surfing a upward sloping 10 or 20 or 10 or 50 EMA? Okay. Can I anticipate that we've come out of some kind of stage 1 into a potential stage 2? Okay. Let me jump down to my validation time frame. So if you guys remember, I actually started watching gold here. I'm going to show you guys that right now, very quickly. This is gold on the 15 minute. This is where I said I'm going to start watching it. Okay? So that's on this gap. But let's talk about why. Is price institutionally moving long? Is price in a bullish model? Is it above a 200 EMA? Is it just on or at a rising 10 or 50? Guys, it can't be the case that it's this simple, right? It can't be the case. It just can't be. So I missed these trades, that's fine. I missed these because I was away at a funeral. It is what it is. Okay, it is what it is. So it's at or around that point. Is everything still the case here? Is it still an accumulation? Is it still an institutionally moving long? Is it still moving with the MAs in a clear way? Okay, so is there any reason for me not to look at it on a lower time frame for my entry? Okay, let's go. Now, back to the important things. First of all, institutionally, is price moving long? It is. I can draw it however I want. Okay, there's no correct rules to institutional structure. It's just clearly, generally moving long. Or I could draw it like this. Okay, it doesn't matter how you draw it. You cannot predict the higher highs or higher lows. All you can do is generally look at how institutionally it's moving. Okay, that's all you can do. Next step. Is the model, now this is important. I'm not asking about the indicator model. Well, actually, let's go this way. Is the indicator model an accumulation? It's not. Very good. Very good. But is the model at hand, or can it be described as a clear reaccumulation? It can be. Similarly, all I do is I draw out what's going on. Yes, there's a break here. You understand this distribution, it says distribution only because of this break. So again, remember, price has gone back and forth, right? This is back and forth, right? Bullish, bearish, bullish, bullish, bearish. Price has gone back and forth to create a general distribution model. But the back and forth, now let me ask you a further question. Imagine it broke up, then it broke down right here, then it broke up, and then it broke down 1, 2. If it did this, would that be a distribution? Because this is the same model breaks as this one. It would be, exactly. But instead, what did price do? It broke up, it did this mini breakdown, and then it did this. Is that overall look like a distribution, or is this acting as a reaccumulation? So again, this is where I forego this break and I view it as a low, protected low, protected low, protected low, break, break. And what is that model? That's a reaccumulation. As we work through this, now not specifically the brand new people that have never seen stuff like this, because again, you will learn this, but everyone that's generally been here for a while, does everyone understand why, even when the indicator says distribution, why this right here, with the conjunction of context, higher time frame, screener, multi-time frame MAs, multi-time frame models, why this right here is an accumulation or reaccumulation. Good. And at the same time, even more importantly, look at where price is in terms of the next high. We know that if it breaks this high, what does this overall become? An accumulation, right? Very important. Price isn't down here. Price isn't making a setup right there like, should I go, should I not? No, price is up here, above all MAs, moving in a clear way where the next break would create this whole thing into an accumulation. Those are all important factors. And then again, is price above a 200? It is. Now, personally, I don't care too much if it's surfing a 10 or 50 on the entry price, on the entry time frame. All I care about is that it, in general, is moving in a clear way, and this is. So, next question, which all of you should know the answer to, is this an ICI or an MB that I can buy stop? There it is. That's the ICI on buy stopping. Can you also view this ICI as a double MB or a triple MB or a multi-time frame MB or a fractal MB or a multi-fractal? These are all MBs. There's multiple opportunities here just on this time frame and others to create many setups, right? You guys can even look at this. There's a triple M right there. Triple M right there too, off of the zone. Based on how you want to look for the trade, based on how you want to enter a trade, there are multiple ways you could have done so. But lo and behold, I took a trade right here, okay? Through the long. And again, what is my stop? Around here. I'm actually going to do this to show you guys. Where'd my stop generally go? In a tool that I have made available. On average, around a 1 to 2x ATR. Now, you could have stuck it further up if you wanted to or whatever, but I just had it here for my specific setup. Okay? I'm going to get rid of the box now. So is everyone in line as to why I took this buy stop? Does this look crazy, or does this remind you of everything you've ever seen me teach over and over again? Okay? Kevin took the same one. Good shit, dude. Very good. Okay? Now, very quickly, check out what I can do. I have now permanently added an understanding to my trading just by doing this. And that's one trade. Right? Now, what can I do? I can look back at 10, 20 trades and compare similarities. Now, do you think that I'm going to be, if I'm brand new to trading, and if I do that for just 20 trades, do you think I'm going to be ahead of people that have gone in circles for 3 years, or still behind them in terms of my understanding? I'm going to be ahead. And that is how you will see time and time again, people take years and claim that, you know, you need even more years than you can even imagine. You got to feel the real money, blah, 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 blah. Why all of that shit doesn't matter. Yes, it's going to take time. Yes, it's a hard market and a hard skill to get down. But you can be ahead of most people like this, okay? Record your trades. This is why we do it. So overall, I have a recorded trade now. Okay, now the trade's not complete, of course. It's not complete, so let's go over the management rules too. So, price taps me in. Now I'm looking for strength out of this. Still waiting, and then I get this. Guys, also look what price has just changed to down here. Look at the bottom right. What do you see? Price is now in reaccumulation. It's an accumulation. On this candle here, I move my stop loss to break even. That's it. My trade was done. My trade was paid for. That's all it took. But then it went crazy. And then it kept going crazy. So what did I do? I moved my stop under the low. What did I do next? I got stopped out for my first partial. There it is. 50% at about 5.64. I can go ahead and type that in. 50% around 5.64. The rest, what did I do? Let me follow you guys through it. The MB moved higher. I left my stop loss here. There's nothing for me to change yet. Price moved higher. I left my stop loss there. I waited. Nothing for me to change yet. Price moved. Price moved. Price moved higher. Now, at this point, just so you guys know, I took another trade. I buy stopped this. Okay? I went to break even on this candle. That trade ended up break even. There it is. Now, at the time of looking at this, it was a question of leaving my stop here for a gain of 1.5 or moving my stop here for a gain of 3.3. Because the opportunity cost of leaving it here is not worth it, I move my stop up here, okay? Then prices moved higher again. And again, I have the option to move it here or here. Now, personally, due to the fact that price is breaking away from a rising 50 and 10, I'm okay, especially with the fact that it went sideways on the 51st to go higher, I'm okay with sticking my stop under the non-2 MB rule only because of that. So again, this is something that you will manifest and get better over time. So nothing specific. Like if you have your stop here, claps to you. You're doing great. That's fine rules. I personally just want to secure more, so I'm just leaving it here. It's an extra like 1.5 RR. That's the opportunity cost. So either my stop is here and I gain 3.3, or my stop is here and I gain about 4.6. So it's about an RR, 1.3 RR more. So I'm okay with that because if it wants to come down, all good. If it wants to keep going, right, then great. I get to move my stop again. So this is where my stop is now moved to. That's all, right? I usually use a mixture of a 2 MB rule or 1 MB plus the MA based rules, right? That's usually how I'm okay with trading. Because I also know if it comes down, right? If it comes down this abruptly and stops me out, I know that oftentimes it'll do what? It'll create another move for me. And I'm more than happy to take this partial at the, this take profit at the potential of it just losing itself, because that's usually what happens if it wants to lose itself under all these MAs. Or if it wants to give me another entry, I will take it. So that's what I would wait for. And again, I hope you're seeing, even for this upcoming week, what market I'm looking for and what I'd be willing to enter. Does everyone see, at least from the last few months, even years, how week to week, the things I'm looking for and the markets I'm looking at don't really change crazily, right? They shift, the conditions of certain markets change, and I might change what I'm looking at. But for the most part, gold's been on here for months, Bitcoin's been on here for months, NASDAQ has been on here for months, UJ has been on here for God knows how many months, Carvana's been on here for a few months, actually. Kazoo is actually brand new because it just showed up for me this week. But again, the exact same ideas, right? Multi-time frame bullishness, accumulation, multi-time frame bullishness / accumulation. A little bit weird in terms of where it was here, but this is a little bit of a different rule / thing. But a few time frames showing towards very clear accumulation. 5 minute, missed this because I was away, but that's fine. Took trade, break even, took trade, ended up making a crazy runner. Closed it out a few days later down here. And that was it. Tate says, why do you trade more stocks than Forex? Pair. Well, my good man, because there are less Forex pairs than there are stocks. So by way of a mathematical approach, what does that mean on the average day-to-day of which markets might have more setups? The one that has 10,000 options or the one that has 100 options? What do you think? Dalen. Not even much better. It's just a question of you're going to have more opportunities in a market that has 10,000 assets versus a market with 100 assets. Does a funded account offer this stock? No. But you can trade anything. Anything the firm that you might be working with offers, you can use. Shizen says, what is the best RR to price interaction situation to consider keeping a stock trade running without the risk of losing more due to opening at a lower gap? Just a question of how far up is it? Like, I was willing, like, so on the first day of trading this, I already took 50% partial, right? Which means that even if the next day it gaps to here, somehow, if prices just went, if prices said, what is going on? Why is it breaking? If prices said, fuck you, and gapped here, right? The next day, boom, it gaps from here to there. So that's a gap of over, just so you know, of over 50%. If this stock gapped 50%, instead of losing, so 0.55, I would lose 1.6, which is 3x. I'd lose negative 1.5 RR. If it gapped to here, which is a 50% gap, I would lose negative 1.5, so my overall gain is still break even. If that is the opportunity cost of holding, right, where it can gap 50% and I'm fine, I'm sure you understand why I'm okay with doing something like that, right? It's just a question of, have you taken a partial off? How far in profit is the trade? And does it make sense to actually hold it for the potential of a move? And in this case, it did. It closed like all the way up here, right? So I'm not worried about it. And if I go backwards, right? If I go backwards, what is the worst gap this stock has had in its lifetime? This one, 17%. Right? That's it. So it's just very important to understand, in general, what are you trading? Is any big red news coming out? If not, you know, I'm fully happy with taking on the potential risk of making this trade a break even instead of a small winner. Right? So the question is, do I want this trade to be a break even or small winner or a huge winner? And look what it did. This trade randomly, out of nowhere, made me 8%. Okay? Like, I hope you understand that. Like, this trade out of nowhere, just out of nowhere, made me 8.2% this week. My 10% gain this week, or 13% gain, over half of that gain came from one measly stock that just ended up making a run. Right? So, and same thing happened with gold, right? Gold is around a 7% gain as well. GC, where is it? GC. This is already about an 8% gain on one measly stock. And it's potentially even more. I don't even know yet. It might end up going higher. We'll see. I don't know, but it could, right? And that's all that matters, is I'm following rules that could make me make more money. How much percent do you risk per trade on the 5-minute system? Right now I'm risking 0.5%. So all these numbers, so it's not 13.7%, it's it's like 6.5% or so made. But I'm still very happy with that, right? Like, just from you know, that's very good. I'm by no means upset about that, right? That's half as much as people make on average yearly, right? Just remember that. Really? You look upset. You were looking at Bitcoin earlier and said it was almost ready to trade. Can you go over what you want to see on the 30% now? Yeah, so this week, I'm looking at GBTC for another trade, right? Let's take a look at why. So again, as I start on a 5-hour or daily, right? Again, the questions become clear. Is it institutionally active? Yes. Is it in a bullish model? Yes. as clear as day, right? How's the screener showcase the same thing? Where's my shit? It died. Oh, it's because it's on a page. Yes, right? Very bullish. So daily's chilling, right? Over the 200, rising, all good. 5 hours, usually my validation time frame start. And again, is it in a bullish model? Is it institutionally bullish? Yes. Is it accumulating? Is it in a clear model? Yes, look at it. It's beautiful. Above the MAs with rising 50 or 10, 50 or 10 riding on it. So easily has the opportunity to do this. There's no reason that it would stop itself from doing so. 30-minute shows the exact same thing. Overall, longer term blueprint into clear bullish moves, clearly institutionally moving long, and overall in reaccumulation. Does it have the opportunity to move higher? It's as clear as day, of course. So I want to watch it. So come Monday, I'm ready to trade this thing, right? If it pops up, goes sideways, I'm buying this thing. I will be buying it through the high. Because even on the 5-minute, it's clearly in accumulation. It wants to move higher. Even though it says distribution, the move was very bullish into breakdowns. That's reaccumulation to me. You know what this looks like? Watch this. Remember what this looks like? Does this look any different? That's what price is generally telling you, right? And you'll get much better at this, but this is what price is telling me right now on a lower time frame entry for Bitcoin. There it is. It's the same thing, right? It might even come down first and then pop up like this and then give me a trade here, which is great. I'll take that as well. But that is why GBTC or Bitcoin is on my watch list. I'm happy to take this thing. More than happy to take this. So that's what I'll be looking for, right? It's already ready. There's nothing else for me to look for on this. John says it's kind of sideways on the 1 hour. Is it? Not at all. Institutionally super bullish, nice reaccumulation, starts moving higher, moves higher, and there's nothing stopping this thing. Do you think it's worth trading tomorrow? I know the US is open normal, but most markets are closed tomorrow and liquidity could be low. Just depends on the move. If it is open tomorrow and it's clear, I'll take it. Bitcoin USD, GBTC looks a bit different. Looks like the same move. Comes higher, breaks down for the reaccumulation, breaks higher, creates the accumulation slash reaccumulation, moves higher, institutionally moving long on the MAs. This thing wants to go. What do you mean? It's the exact same thing. Well, this is the one I traded on, so yeah. Yeah, GBTC is an actual ETF, so it's closed, yep. It looks different on my chart, somehow much longer. What do you mean? Well, yeah, the pullback's longer on the Bitcoin USD specifically because it's open over the weekend, but it's the exact same market and it's moving very clearly. It's on the right-hand side of the V. It's coming up beautifully. It's being accumulated. The model is still in very clear bullishness. Institutionally, it's moving bullish. It's surfing the MAs beautifully. It's like the exact same thing. So I am 100% a GBTC supporter for the upcoming week. Hopefully it sets up. It could be on Monday, Tuesday. It might even, on Monday, it might even come down, blah, blah, blah. Maybe even come lower. I don't really care. Then on Tuesday or Wednesday, it might shoot up over the 200, come down, make the 50 go sideways a little bit, and then right here, it might set up. And then I'll take that trade. Because again, now it'll be creating a brand new move higher here. So again, I don't know how it's going to set up at all. All I know is what I'm looking for it to give me a setup, for it to give me a trade. Right now, there's nothing on it, right? But it's like perfection. Right now, it's like it's telling me it wants to make this move. It's just telling me that. So I will be 100% looking to follow it if it does set up. And like, I hope you're also seeing, like, even if I take this trade, it's so beautiful because even if this trade just loses, oh no, you know, like, I'm paid off by this thing tenfold. I could take 10 trades right now and it wouldn't affect my gains on Bitcoin if I took all losses. This is the beauty of it. I simply just sit back and now let the trade come if it wants to come and just take the opportunity, right? Take the loss instantly if it's a bad one, or take a break even if it's a good one, or take a win if it's a great one. UJ outlook for next week? Sure, let's take a look at UJ. So I think I've had it green on here. Yeah, I have, but all week it's been very ugly, right? So if we take a look at this, again, same thing. Overall, you're in clear accumulation, very clear, still moving long. I want to see it move long. Nothing's stopping it from moving long here. Look at the 5 hour. You know, you have the same thing. It's been going sideways for a bit, but it's still in clear accumulation. It's on the 50/10, so that's good. So it can definitely start making a move, like up here, for sure. Take a look at the 30-minute. Yeah, so this is where I didn't like it. So it became clean as it started to come out of this area, and I started to trade it. But then it fucked off and died again. So right now it's ugly. I would not touch it right now. Wait for it to come up, and then you can start following it, or let it come up and then start looking for trades, or just let it fall off. Right now, it's not telling you where it wants to go specifically. Institutionally, it's still moving generally long, which is good. It can definitely keep moving. Model-wise, a lot of back and forth without the need to go higher, which is a problem. You know, the fact that this reaccumulation didn't move it higher is problematic to me. So that shows me that there might be more time we need to wait on this market at the moment. Take a look at the 5-minute and you're back in like complete nonsense territory. So there is nothing to do here. 200 sloping down, sideways. The MAs are like pickpocket going sideways and shitting themselves. Huge wiki and big ranges. Nothing is pointing towards the fact that money is being accumulated in a clear way. So until this comes out of this, starts making very clear higher high protected lows, breaks down into a reaccumulation, until this happens, this market is as ugly as can be, and I would not watch it. So, you know, you can put this on the yellow back burner and not even look at it. NZD USD, some people were talking about it last week to watch for bearishness, and it does deliver the bearishness, so that's good to see. Overall, yeah, I mean, this thing is good for bearishness. It's sustaining its bearish move. Yeah, it's moving clearly in a bearish format. It's under those, it's moving lower. 5 hours moving lower, and moving nicely. 30-minute is, so I spoke about this here. I said that it's a generally more choppy one, so I wouldn't trade it because it's probably going to deliver, but deliver choppy, and it did. So it does deliver, but it's delivering very choppy, which is usually what I stay away from. And at the moment, it's even more choppy than it could be. So if we look at a 5-minute, we have exactly that. A super choppy, undefined market condition, right? It was above, then it came below, then it's it's coming down, but in a shitty way. So this is the kind of market I stay away from. So just like last week, I will be staying away from this market even though it's bearish. This is a great idea where my bias is going to be correct, the bias is correct, but I'm not trading this thing whatsoever. Nothing about this is prominently telling me that orders are coming in such a clear way that taking an entry is going to be worth it in any way, right? This is a lot of chop. Usually chop like this does not get rewarded. Yeah, it's just chop. It's just chopping itself down. So I would ignore it. JUR 30 did show up as a bullish thing, right? Was that IDX or something? What's the actual thing? DX40? DAX, yeah, that's right. So yeah, this thing is shown very bullish on the screener. So let's take a look if that's represented the same way in the market. Yep, so it's been very bullish. We've spoken about this thing bullish right now. I would not touch it at all now. It's way too extended. Again, if you hadn't traded this thing here, 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 or here, or here, you should not be touching this thing. You're way too extended. You're way too late to the party, right? This always comes back to the exact same thing. Why haven't you been trading this thing here? Right? Is there a reason? Right? Look at the 30. It's been perfect. These opportunities in here are phenomenal on those lowers. Phenomenal. You can still get one more maybe, but look at how many ICIs and breaks you've already had. This is likely to now go sideways or fail. So I would wait for it to fail back down on the 5 hour to like the 10 or the 50 and then start following it again, because it's not really worth your time to trade something like this, right? Beautiful moves on the way up. And I mean, like, yeah, you look at the stage 2 you've had out of this thing. This thing needs to make a proper flush out. Too much money is now seeing this and is in on this. You have to wait now. But the main question becomes, why weren't you trading back here? Why were these points you did not trade? Those were phenomenal. Phenomenal, okay? All the way up through here. These were all phenomenal entries. And then even if you got a late one here or here, it's okay. This way too late. Anyone that entered anything here, of course, is getting chopped out now, right? It might even do this at the open and then chop out like this. This is very likely. So this is something that I would not touch right now because, again, the trend has already been moving for too long. This is where you have to be aware of trend. Doge USD, probably like Bitcoin, right? We can start with a daily, just take a look where we are. Yep, so we had exactly what we discussed, right? You had the come up out of that. You had new trades set up out of this. And now it could even give you a lower time frame trade. So let's look at a 5 hour, right? Yeah, it's a beautiful accumulation, a little bit wicky, but that's okay. Starts a beautiful move on the rising 10 and 50, so it looks really good. So yeah, it's actually in a fine moment for a setup on at least those time frames. This says redistribution, but just like gold, this for me is a clear reaccumulation. So reaccumulation is clear. Actually, yeah, it's setting up right now. This probably already had a setup. And it did. This or this was good setup. Now, what I would wait for, if you are trading this, it's very illiquid, so I'd be careful. But if you are trading this thing on this time frame or higher, likely a little bit more of a correction, let the 50 come out, and then there should be an opportunity here. But that's the only thing I would look for on Doge. But this is quite ugly, like very illiquid. So as a result, me personally, walk away. Done. That's as much work as I need to do. But yes, this thing is in a fine context to make another run higher. If anything, actually, if you're trading this on like a 30-minute, this setup, this is the best setup you could have had right here. But this was in a bearish MB. This is a really good one. And you should be at break even now. This is like the second one, so it's not as good, but it's still okay. Let's turn on the box here. Right, so around here, yeah. So like something along these lines, right? Let it come in. Let it tap in, let it make a move something like this, and then move to break even. This would be a fine move. Yeah, I mean, this is not bad. This is something that I'd be okay with taking. The fact, now the reason I'm not taking is one, relatively choppy. Two, late to the move in regards to the fact that this was technically your best position and the clearest one that's set up. Three, I would look for, if I was entering on a 30-minute, I would look for a bigger move down and then a setup around here. So I'd actually wait for this to almost fail and then make a new one. However, this setup alone, if someone sent me this, I actually don't see anything wrong with it. I'd be willing to take a loss on this if this was a market I was watching closely. But take a look at how it makes its move higher. This is telling you it has a history of making a move higher that is not so clean. Let's put it that way. So the likelihood of this move is this. Break even, fail. Like this. So you're almost guaranteed to take a break even on this, even if you take the trade. Okay? Does everyone understand how you can look at a market and ascertain the way in which it's likely to move based on what it's been doing? This market is showing you kind of the way it wants to move. So even though this is a good opportunity, I would not take it. Jordan asks about silver. Silver has not changed, my good man. Go and watch the webinar on silver. Look at where I drew the setup I'm looking for. This is still range bound. What is good about this now? How has this changed from last week? What's changed about this? Right? Follow the things that I've said multiple times on this market. Look at the MAs. It's choppy and it looks like shit. Look at where price is. It's choppy and it looks like shit. Look at any lower time frame. It's choppy and it looks like shit. Look at gold. It's beautiful and it looks good. Look at gold. It's beautiful and it's outside of the shit and it's moving clearly. What is the obsession with silver? Where is the obsession coming from? What is this? Do you just really, really, really want to get caught in a new sideways market? If you want to, then run it, right? In my opinion, interesting to watch for next week besides what Anton said already is R2I. So that's basically like NAS, right? Yeah, so this is fine. NAS is starting, it had a longer term shit storm, but the weekly is in a clear accumulation and moving higher. So this is actually really nice. The daily lines up with that quite okay-ishly. There we go. Yeah, quite okay. It actually started, you know, there was some decent moves here. Look at like a 5 hour. You have a little bit more sideways, and now it's starting a nice move. So yeah, you're right. If this can make a little bit of a pullback, let's take a look at a 30. Yeah, so 30 minutes actually in a really nice accumulation. Yeah, this is actually great. Great, great, great. So 5 minutes should give you nice moves on this. It already gave you nice moves, so it gave you great setups, and it made money. But now, again, you do the same thing. You'd wait for this to probably come up, come down, and then around here, there should be a very nice opportunity again, right? Again, I would want to see the 50 kind of come sideways and start moving up, maybe something like this. If 50 can do that, your entry should be around here, right? And that should be a really nice move to move higher. So yeah, RTY is a great one. US oil. US oil, so it was shit. I spoke about for a few weeks how it's been very ugly and that I would not touch it, right? Very ugly. It was ugly. It's still a little bit ugly, to be honest, but it's finally coming out of whatever was on the left of it, starting to move in accumulation, but look how it's moving. Super wicky and super awfully until very recently, where it made kind of a clean move, reaccumulated, and now it's moving higher. So it actually right now is starting to become a little bit cleaner. Let's look at a 30 minute. So 30 minute went through a blueprint and is now moving higher. So yes, actually for the upcoming week, this can start making very nice moves for sure. So yeah, oil for the upcoming week looks actually relatively good. Yep. Good eye. US 30 has been ugly for a very long time. I doubt it's going to be good now. Let's see. So it was sideways for a while, then it started a clean move, yes. So then it became really clear around these points here, right? Generally bullish and delivering bullish, which was really good to see. The 5 hour retained a relatively ugly move though. So that's important to remember. Yeah, so if anything, it only got a little bit clear around here, but even then it moves so choppy. So I would ignore US 30. I don't like US 30. And then CHF pairs, but you can take a look at that. Yeah, Dalen says, but Mr. Ment, I love trading silver. Yeah, exactly. Like, you need to be very careful. Stop getting attached to the markets. There's been questions about silver every week so far, and every week it's been in this ugly area, right? Like it's maintained inside of this area. Can you look at HPK? Well, so it's very illiquid, which means you're only trading this on a higher time frame. So it's ugly. I would not touch this whatsoever. It's not in any bullish market. It might be accumulating, but it's still in a bearish range right now at all the MAs inside of this area under here. Nothing to do. Don't touch is my answer on this. Yep, that was very easy. JER 40, we just went over that. You're gonna have to go and rewatch the webinar to see that. Tate says, can I only use the 9 and 21 EMA? Brother, you can use anything you want. For my personal setup right now, I'm using these 3. They just give me easy ways to view price and where trend is at, and if I even want to touch it. Euro JPY. Maybe. A lot of sideways on this thing. A lot of sideways into just now accumulation. What's this telling us? Somewhat bullish, has a little bit of bearishness in it. So yeah, it could have a move in it. So let's see. You know, a lot of XXX JPY is pretty bullish. So that's good to see. I don't like that it's losing the 50. And this one's not losing the 50. So UJ is just stronger. So I would keep following UJ instead of Euro JPY. Because if UJ fails, Euro JPY is going to become this, right? So this to me is ugliness, which means that even if you get a trade, you're setting yourself up for ugliness. So UJ, I think, is just clearer. And I'd probably just watch UJ this upcoming week. Let's see, where are we at? USD CHF. Somewhat bullish. Oh, look at that. We spoke about this, what, last week? yeah, you had great moves on this, and yeah, it can set up again now, for sure. Yep. No change in context. 30 minutes very ugly right now. It's in like reaccumulation, but a generally awkward one. But if it starts making a move like this, comes down the surf and MA, anything lower time frame is really good there to clear the next highs and then to keep going. Right? Beautiful. Yep. So if this is your trade plan for the week, you're in a generally good spot. The reason I don't trade USD-CHF much is because it's on average has a much lower pip movement. So you pay a lot more for commissions and slippage, right? So like, look at this, like on UJ, you know, an entry that looks like, let's say this, is about 12 pips already. 12 pips. Let's copy that. Let's go to USD-CHF. The same entry is, oh, it says 12 pips? Okay, so maybe it's the same now. I don't know. It always felt like it was smaller though. Maybe it's okay. Yeah, this can have a move for sure. I'm gonna add it to my list and just watch it throughout the week. We'll see what it does. Gold is going. Gold is beautiful. Like, this is just beauty, right? This is absolute beauty. Absolute beauty. And you know what's even more beautiful? If it opens and does this. That would be great. Let's complete our target this week. Okay, it's probably not gonna happen, but who knows, man? It can do anything. The market is a beautiful thing. Could make a yearly salary in one move. So that's, we looked at that. NKD. KUSD futures. Yeah, so this is like one of those markets where this is where you should have watched, this is where you could have watched, this is where you definitely should have watched, and now a little bit more sideways and it might be ready for another move. Let's take a look at some lower time frames. So yeah, you're in clear accumulation, went through reaccumulation, yeah, it looks good. Whatever the fuck this thing is, it looks good. You can trade it. 30 minute is, so institutionally it's there. I don't like that this move here failed to hold itself up and instead broke down. It might need a little bit more time because of it, hopefully. So to trade this, what I would do is I'd wait for it to actually break down again, then hopefully break up and then start accumulation around here. That would be the best case scenario, because then if it starts it now, it's problematic, because if it starts now, it's part of this ugliness, right? If it breaks down, it's created more sideways action to now create new bullishness on this side of price. So right now, if it starts going, I wouldn't touch it until it maybe reaches up to here. And then maybe you can get a trade around here to keep going. Otherwise, I'd wait for this move, okay? So let it come down and then start an institutional push like this. And then you can watch that on a lower. That looks good. That does look good. JR40's done. CVX. Was that Chevron? Okay, yeah, Chevron. Don't touch it. CJ. Cocoa. Cocoa or Cardinal Energy? Let me know which one. GBP USD. Probably the same as last week. Yep, still ugly. Wouldn't touch it. Watch previous week to learn more. Bank Nifty. What is it? Isn't it just Nifty? I think I've looked at this a few times. Yeah, so I did. Yeah, bullishness still holds. Looks really good. Started a very nice bullish push here. Probably already gave you the setup that you would have wanted to look for. Let's take a look. So accumulation, starts this with accumulation. Yeah, it's actually good. For the upcoming week, you can definitely get a move out of this thing. Yeah, all these are setting up quite beautifully for a long. Yeah, looks good. You had some trades this week as well, for sure, right? Comes out. Well, it's a little bit harder. Like, this is a trade, but it's very hard to spot it. Yeah, it could make some this week. You have to give it a little bit of time, though. It's probably going to go sideways for a bit and then set up. I would let this at least go sideways for, like, this much time. So maybe around Tuesday, this might be ready to make a move. CAD JPY. Probably the same as UJ. Nope. Ugly. Ignore. That was easy. Yeah, very choppy. Ignore it. Coffee cash contract. It looks like an uglier FTM USD from when we looked at the crypto. Looks like an uglier version of this guy. And this one was beautiful. Still making a move. It's just perfection. The actual coffee cash fucking whatever this is, ugly. Yeah, it's just uglier. I don't like that. I'd probably ignore it. He says run the stock. Sunrun. Looks very ugly. Yep, started to make something and then failed down. Nothing to touch. Yep, super ugly. Wouldn't even touch it. It went from being unclear to dog shit, right? Roberto says, Anton, may I know exactly what you mean by choppy? A number of things. Either the MAs are moving in a very choppy way. Either price has been range bound for a very long time. Either the wicks on the candles and just the general movement of the candles in relation to the MAs are choppy. All those things are the things that decidedly make me say something's choppy or not. Soybean. Let's look at the futures. Fuck the cash contracts. Yeah, these things maintain bearishness. Then they finally started to fail the bearishness right now, but they're still overall bearish. Yep, redistribution taking place right now. It looks good for shorts. 5 hour just went into accumulation, but that's okay because it's institutionally very long-term like redistribution. So yeah, if it can like start to break back down, this looks actually really good for shorts. Let's flip this and take a look. So you have the blueprint happening right now. Yeah, if we start of the week can go a little bit sideways, come up, start making clean accumulation, reaccumulation. Yep, you have very nice moves on this. But until that, like, so basically until here, you shouldn't really touch it. And let me reinvert it for you. Yep. Let it come down to around the 1170 and then start to follow it shorts. Otherwise, there's nothing really to do on this just yet. And look, this is, when we spoke about it, I said this is less likely, the down move, it's going to go sideways, and it did go sideways, and then again, it failed up. So again, if you were watching this, you can see how just using the rules we teach here, you would be out of this market this whole time, and then you would have been out of it because it's bullish, and then here is where you're now watching to start getting involved in it. This is the beauty. And remember what we spoke about a few weeks ago. What is this concept right here that we talk about? Can you guys remember? Trader 1. Trader 2. This is where I told you guys a lot of people are going to lose money, that we're trying to, like, that's finally understood it's short. This is where you're going to make money. Let the money come in and then start following it short. This looks beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Yep. This should create a very nice setup if it can keep going short. This is definitely being distributed right now and should keep going down. Let's add that to the list because it's actually starting to look good. Who knows? I might take something on that. We'll keep an eye on it. Thank you for whoever said it. What's the difference from cash contract and futures? And add to my watch list. I don't know. There's your answer. Welcome to the life of being an actual trader. Yep. I mean, I don't even have to look at other time frames. Can you guess what I'm gonna say? Oh, there you go. It's ugly. Why are we looking at this, Alfred? What are we doing? I don't even have to look at another time frame. Look at this. It hasn't moved since January. Since January, this thing has stayed range bound, okay? That's how you know you want to lose money, right? Welcome to the people that are now trading silver too, right? This has like remained pretty range bound, at least on the higher time frame. Lower time frame, the guy that said something about silver, if you're on a lower time frame, maybe there's going to be an opportunity this week, like a small one to 26, 27. It could be. Disney is overextended. Is it? I don't know. Maybe. Range bound, accumulation, clean accumulation, moves higher. Yeah, if you traded this here, you're in a good spot. Right now, there's nothing to do. You would probably ignore this, right? Very simple. 5-hour beautiful accumulations. Yeah, so this created some really nice moves. Now you have to wait. This wants to reset big time, new accumulation, and then start moves. But it needs time. Otherwise, it can't move. Euro USD is still probably very ugly, just like I spoke about it last week. Let's take a look. Okay, yeah, so last week we actually spoke about the shorts, right? I said it finally is starting to move short, even though I thought it was going to be long. And it's following through on those shorts. So yeah, shorts are starting to look okay on this thing, for sure. Daily's still a bit range bound. I would still be waiting. I really don't like markets like these. These are usually going to maintain chop. But it's getting there. It's being distributed for sure. It needs time. But it's being distributed. You know, institutionally, it's starting to make some kind of move, which is good. Yeah, if it can start making its way out of here, around these 1.06s to start following it short like this. So here you go. This will start looking really good. But right now, it's just choppy, guys. A lot of the FX pairs are in chop, except for like UJ, which is also in general chop. You know, you had some really good conditions on it a while back. You had very good conditions on it here back in 2022 when we first started watching it. Yeah, so XXX JPY is good, but nah, the XXX USD pairs are very ugly. You need to give them time to get distributed. You need to give them time. And we can even take a look at what are the sentiment people in the world doing. You know, from an institutional standpoint at least, yeah, you can see Euro USD is finally starting to get distributed, but you can see it's so unconfirmed that of course you're going to see more chop, and that's why you're seeing this. And then we can even look at the sentiment of the MyFX book just for fun, just to see how it's all moving. So yeah, there you go. You're finally starting to see that euro dollar is now starting to get longed by a lot of the dumb money, right? Which is good, but it's not ready yet. It still needs to be distributed. It's still being further distributed. It needs time. But isn't that funny? Just as we start getting short on this thing, it's looking quite long for others, which is great. The money will always fuel the beautiful markets. So yeah, XXX USD is not clean. I would not touch them. General watchers for the upcoming week are GBTC, for sure. I am 100% watching for GBTC. GBP AUD is becoming quite choppy, so that sucks. But if it can start, it's getting too choppy. I hate this. Okay, GBP AUD is off my list for now. GBTC, very clean. I want to get long on this thing so badly. This thing looks so good. So I'm going to be watching for longs on this. Carvana still has opportunity for creating new longs, so I'll be watching for longs on this thing too. No reason it can't. GC, gold. I mean, this thing is as clear as day. Just keeps going. So hopefully it pulls back and creates a new move, or just keeps going, and I will manage this. So GC is looking really good, which is gold. Soybeans, it needs time. It needs a lot of time, but shorts on this thing over time are going to be very nice. So I'll be watching for that. USD-CHF needs time for longs. Not watching it, though. UJ needs a little bit of time to get long, but probably likely. So I'll have that on the back burner. This is back burner. This is back burner. NASDAQ, I mean, this thing is just kind of range bound right now, but can start coming out soon. It can definitely start coming out soon and start making accumulation. So if it can get up to like here, if it can get up to like these prices, there should be good longs on it. So waiting on that too. So yeah, the main watchers for me remain gold, Bitcoin, and now Carvana. So basically a few stocks. I'll look at a few other stocks for myself probably and see what else is moving nicely. But yeah, that's it. That is all. Oh my god, 2 hours, 30 minutes. What the fuck? What the fuck? On Easter Sunday? All right, guys. We already looked at oil. Okay, guys. Listen. Good luck. Let's have a beautiful week. Thank you all so much for participating in this beautiful webinar, for commentating some markets to watch. You guys got some markets on my list here, actually, funny enough. So that's awesome of all of you. Stay tuned for some amazing fucking updates for the team. Make sure you're journaling, collecting that data, go crazy, and I'll see you all in the trade talk, okay? Thank you all. Have a lovely weekend and have a lovely week. Much love to everybody. Mwah. Goodbye, everyone.